Chapter 318. Millennium-old royal jelly. Lu Muyen handed Yi Qinghan a talisman when approaching the hive. This is an invisibility talisman. As long as it's attached to your body, and we don't use elemental energy, we won't be discovered. We'll feel our way to the Scarlet Bee Empress nest in a bit and run away immediately after the contract is completed. This was the talisman that she spent a lot of effort refining before, but she didn't expect to use it. Seeing her sneaky, thief-like appearance, Yi Qinghan said with amusement, "All right." After the two stuck on the talisman, their figures and aura disappeared instantly, and they walked quietly towards the center of the hive. The Scarlet Bee's hive was very large, more than 5 meters high, and the outside was filled with Tier 6 and 7 Scarlet Bees patrolling back and forth. The Scarlet Bees were a relatively special type of demonic beast, because it was directly birthed and controlled by the Empress of the Scarlet Bees, so their intelligence wasn't that high, and they couldn't transform into the human form. The Scarlet Red Empress needed to reach Tier 9 to be able to transform into human form, but her intelligence was relatively high. The two entered the central nest, which was filled with royal jelly, and there was a crooked cave in the nest. Going down the cave, the age of the royal jelly continued to grow, and it took about an hour to come to an end. At the end, surrounded by orange-yellow millennium-old royal jelly, Lu Muyen's eyes lit up. This royal jelly was a good thing. It could not only improve one's cultivation base, but also had the effect of maintaining beauty and youthfulness, and was one of the main ingredients for refining the beauty-enhancing pill and the beauty-preserving pill. Qinghan, with this millennium-old royal jelly, we can refine the beauty-preserving pill that helps one maintain youth and immortal beauty. I'll give you a few by then and your appearance will last forever. Lu Muyen said excitedly to Yi Qinghan telepathically. All women loved beauty, even Lu Muyen was no exception. In her previous life, she took a beauty-preserving pill to stay young forever. In this life, she naturally wouldn't let herself become a gray-haired, wrinkled old woman. Yi Qinghan had a smile on his lips. There's such pills? If Lu Muyen refined this kind of pill, then those female sword cultivators would probably all go crazy. Lu Muyen raised her chin and said with slight tsundere, "Of course. And only I know about the pill formula." The beauty-enhancing pill could beautify one's appearance, and one's face would appear younger and younger, but it was only useful if one took it long-term. On the other hand, the beauty-preserving pill could keep one's youthful appearance forever, but the main ingredients for refining this pill required several rare spiritual herbs and she didn't have it all. When she accidentally broke into this Scarlet Bee's hive before, she already had the idea to take the royal jelly, and when she refined the beauty-enhancing pill and sold it, she would not only make huge money but it was also a long-term business. There was no figure of the Scarlet Bee Empress here. Lu Muyen used her mental energy to sweep around constantly, then finally discovered that there was a faint aura coming from a piece of royal jelly. She walked over quickly and entered the royal jelly with Yi Qinghan. Sure enough, there was a door made of honeycombs behind the royal jelly. Pushing through the door and into it was a small space. The light in the space was very good, and there were several corpses of the Scarlet Bee Empress within. The newest one's life force dissipated just before they entered, and the corpse was relatively large. Beside her was a crystal-clear and transparent honey-yellow bee pupa, with a strong beating aura of life. "Muyen, quickly go make a contract," Yi Qinghan said. Lu Muyen took off her invisibility talisman and walked cautiously in front of the bee pupa. After finding that there weren't any strange changes, she quickly dropped a drop of blood essence onto the pupa. Then she chanted a difficult incantation silently as she constantly formed seals. Circles of jade-colored light covers enveloped her and the bee pupa. After an hour, the jade-colored light cover lit up and turned into two streams of light that entered into Lu Muyen and the bee pupa's bodies respectfully. Lu Muyen wiped the fine sweat on her forehead. Although this new Scarlet Bee Empress was just birthed, but its mental energy was exceptionally strong. If it weren't for her mental energy being even stronger than that of the bee pupa, then she would have been backlashed. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks Muyen, how is it? Yi Qinghan asked with concern. Lu Muyen smiled lightly and said, "This bee pupa's mental energy is so strong that I almost failed." "Even you almost failed with your mental energy?" Yi Qinghan said in surprise. "No wonder we've never heard of someone contracting the Scarlet Bee Empress. So it's because their mental energy is too strong and can't be contracted." Lu Muyen's mental energy was several times or even more than 10 of times his, yet she almost failed. Then it really was that few people could contract this kind of demonic beast. He used to wonder why those high-level spirit beast masters didn't contract social demonic beasts like the Scarlet Bees. Once successfully contracting such demonic beasts, then they would definitely be exceptionally powerful. So it seemed that it was because they were too difficult to contract. Scarlet bee swarms weren't only difficult to find, but also required the spirit beast master to have stronger mental energy than the Scarlet Bee Empress. It truly was difficult to meet those two conditions. Yeah. Fortunately we're lucky. If I contracted the old Scarlet Bee Empress of Tier 8, then I might failed. Maybe I'd even be backlashed at the same time as failing. Lu Muyen sighed with lingering fear. Her mental energy was indeed very strong, but her cultivation base held her back. If she encountered that Tier 8 Scarlet Bee Empress, unless she asked Mo Yen to help suppress her, otherwise her chances of successfully contracting her would be only half. Not good, there's a riot happening among the Scarlet Bees outside. Lu Muyan's expression suddenly changed and she quickly put away the contracted Scarlet Bee Empress and the corpses. Then she took out her long sword and channeled elemental energy into it, and slashed it towards the edge of the nest. The royal jelly flowed out in an instant. With a thought, she put all the royal jelly into her interspatial ring. The interspatial ring refined by Great Master Wu was very large, and had a special independent space, perfect to hold these millennium-old royal jelly. After these were done, the two heard the harsh, buzz sounds enter their ears. After the death of the old Scarlet Bee Empress, the Scarlet Bee swarms waiting outside only had a lifespan of at most 10 years. Their mission was to protect the new Empress Bee to be born from her pupa and to breed new Scarlet Bees. And the reason why Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan were able to succeed so quickly was thanks to the hierarchy of the Scarlet Bees. The Empress nest wasn't allowed to be entered by other Scarlet Bees. However, she contracted the new Bee Empress, so the Scarlet Bees who were waiting outside suddenly had their connection cut off with it, and so the crazy riot broke out. Escape. Lu Muyen grabbed Yi Qinghan's hand and rushed towards the outside of the cave using her flash steps. It wasn't that the invisibility talisman couldn't be used, but once that talisman received attacks, they would reveal their true form and their speed would be even slower. Tens of thousands of Scarlet Bees rushing in would inevitably dispel the stealth effect, and they would be in trouble. Yi Qinghan held Lu Muyan's hand tightly, and a layer of cyan light circled out of his body to wrap around the two of them. He quickly escaped at her pace. As soon as the Scarlet Bees rushed in, they found the two of them and bared their fangs, fiercely spewing a variety of colors of poisons, flames and icicles to attack them. Lu Muyen flipped her hand and an orange flame jumped out and burned a lot of Scarlet Bees to death. Yi Qinghan constantly slammed his palm wind towards them. His palm wind carried a special kind of elemental energy, making the crazy Scarlet Bees not dare to approach. In the end, the two of them just managed to find a way out from the swarm of tens of thousands of bees. Running all the way, both of them were injured. The two of them continued to condense and support the cyan light and orange light cover, but they couldn't stand the deadly attack of the Scarlet Bee swarm. The Scarlet Bees were like moths to a flame. Even if they died, they wanted to drag them back. In the end, the two had to try their best to escape the Scarlet Bee's nest. The moment Lu Muyen exited, she had Bingji return to his original form and escape quickly. But the Scarlet Bees behind followed closely, and if anyone was present they would definitely be shocked. One would see a huge ice luan flying towards the outside of the mountain as a beam of light, chased by swarms of Scarlet Bees behind. However spectacular and magnificent one pictured this scene, it would be so. Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan sat on Bingji and kept changing directions as they flew, followed by a large swarm of Scarlet Bees. We've been outside wandering for more than 2 days. If we don't go back now, we won't be able to catch up with the selection of our sects. Lu Muyen turned to look at the dark mass of Scarlet Bees and held her forehead wordlessly. Yi Qinghan was also quite helpless. He didn't expect that the Scarlet Bees would chase after them so stubbornly that they couldn't even escape them after 2 days. How about we go back to the top of the mountain? As soon as the Spirit Gathering Array activates, the Great Array around the building will also open, and demonic beasts Tier 9 and below can't get in at all. There are too many Scarlet Bees and they couldn't kill them all at all. Besides, there were thousands of Tier 7s. If they didn't want to die, then they really couldn't fight them head-on. And as long as they were still in this space, these Scarlet Bees wouldn't give up. After all, they had taken their new Empress away. Alright, that's all that's left to do. Lu Muyen nodded in agreement and let Bingji fly towards the last gathering place. Half a day later, everyone except Yi Qinghan and Lu Muyen gathered in an open space outside the building. Lu Mu Bai and the others' expressions were a little anxious, worried that something had happened to the two of them. Luo Li and the others were also filled with worry. He asked Lu Mu Bai and the others, "Where did Lu Muyen go? Why hasn't she come back yet?" "Don't know. She only said she would go out for a few days." Lu Mu Bai sighed then said firmly, Yenner will definitely be back. The end was getting closer and closer. When the elders of the 6 major sects appeared, the hearts of Lu Mu Bai and the others sank. When the elders of the 6 major sects arrived at the open space, they immediately found that Lu Mu Yen was gone. Just when the strong and sturdy elderly man of the 8 extremes sect wanted to ask, suddenly, a cyan blue light rushed over from the distant horizon and 2 figures in exceptionally sorry states leapt off from the cyan lawn. Everyone looked at the 2 people whose clothes and hair were a little messy. Before they could speak, there was a sudden burst of harsh, buzz-buzz sounds from the sky from far to near. Immediately, an overwhelming black shadow shrouded the sky outside the array. What's this? Someone exclaimed. Heavens, why are there so many scarlet bees? One of them recognized the swarm of demonic beasts. When many people heard the word scarlet bees, their expressions changed greatly, and their scalps became numb. They all took out their magic tools, prepared to escape. However, as soon as the swarm of scarlet bees approached the building, a distant white light cover immediately appeared from the ground and covered the surroundings. The swarms of scarlet bees slammed against the light cover shield one after another, but couldn't take a step further. Many scarlet bees were even killed by the power activated by the great array as soon as they touched the white light circle. Some scarlet bees continuously rushed towards the great array without fear of death, then was finally swept away by a white projection force from the array, finally annihilated in this space. Seeing this, the scarlet bees behind didn't dare to rush forward, and could only glare at Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han with barred fangs. The people present were all relieved when they saw this, then turned their attention to Lu Mu Yen and Yi Qing Han. Lu Mu Yen, this woman sure could cause so much trouble. It's only been a few days and she already attracted such a large swarm of scarlet bees, didn't she want her life anymore? Lu Mu Yen, even if you don't want to live, don't harm us too. A sword master who usually didn't like her said with an unpleasant expression. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen shrugged roguishly and said, I was going to come back to participate in the final selection, but they just wanted to follow me, I can't help it. She and Yi Qing Han dared to lead them here because they knew of the existence of the Great Array, otherwise even if they gave up the selection, they wouldn't bring the scarlet bees here to harm the others. They weren't so cold-blooded. You're distorting my words and reason. The man shuddered when he saw her eyes growing colder, then snorted and turned his head away saying no more. Lu Mu Yen won the championship in the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony. In the future, regardless of which sect she entered, she would definitely be the target of their training, plus her strength was indeed really strong, so it was best not to provoke her. After all, although she attracted the scarlet bees, but they were blocked outside by the organizers' great array, and they weren't in any danger. Seeing that many people didn't say anything but their expressions weren't that good, after thinking about it, Lu Mu Yen took out a bucket of century-old royal jelly, blinked and said innocently, we were only thinking about how everyone participated in this competition together, but now we would separate, so I should send some gifts, so I went to dig the scarlet bee's hive and get some royal jelly for you all as a souvenir. Seeing her innocent expression and hearing her words, everyone couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Whoever believed in her words was being preposterous. However, hearing her say that, the people present wasn't bothered with holding a grudge anymore. Most importantly, scarlet bee royal jelly was something good. Regular drinking could prolong one's life, and improve cultivation base and beauty. The scarlet bees had the innate talent to hide its aura, and it was difficult even for a sword venerable powerhouse to find them. Last time, Lu Mu Yen chased a demonic beast and accidentally entered there, then made a mark, otherwise it would be difficult to find the scarlet bee's lair again if she tried to look for it on purpose. Haha, little Lu girl sure is generous. This century-old scarlet bee royal jelly is a good thing. The elder of the 8 extremes sect happily walked to Lu Mu Yen and looked down at the royal jelly in the bucket, smacking his lips. He loved delicious spiritual items the most, and this royal jelly was one of them. If he could get some to give to a spiritual wine master to brew into honey wine, then its taste could make one drool 3 inches. Honey wine also had the effects of expanding blood vessels, strengthening the body and prolonging life. Lu Mu Yen saw that the red-haired elderly man's nose was about to touch the bucket, and the corner of her lips twitched. But she felt a little more favorable towards his straightforward appearance. The other elders of the 6 major sects also revealed surprise and enthusiasm in their eyes when they saw the royal jelly. How should I address this senior? Due to politeness, Lu Mu Yen asked with a smile. The elder of the 8 extremes sect raised his head reluctantly, his old face smiled into a chrysanthemum. This old man is the elder of the 8 extremes sect Ao Roan. Why, does little Lu girl want to give me some royal jelly as a souvenir? The other elders of the 6 major sects couldn't help but twitch the corners of their lips. Rong, this thing sure was so shameless and skinless. To think he wasn't embarrassed to ask for something from a junior. Lu Muyen smiled sincerely. Sure. Everyone who sees has a share. Not only senior but also the seniors from other sects. It can also be regarded as a meeting gift from this junior towards seniors. Her subtext actually meant, I've already given you a meeting gift, would you be shameless enough not to return the gift? Since she took out a bucket of royal jelly to share with everyone, she naturally wouldn't ignore the elders of the 6 major sects. Lu Muyen robbed the entire hive of royal jelly. This century-old royal jelly was actually what she casually swept up on the way out of the cave, and she had hundreds of barrels of it in her space. She also had hundreds of barrels of centuries-old and even millennium-old royal jelly, so it was really trivial to take out a barrel to dispel everyone's grievances and win people's hearts. Seeing Lu Muyen's generosity, other people felt their flesh hurt. Didn't she know the value of century-old royal jelly? It would take at least tens of thousands of spiritual stones to buy a barrel like this, was often priceless on the market, and was most popular among female sword masters. Her rich local tyrant appearance that looked like she was saying Laonyang had money really looked like she deserved a beating. Chapter 320. Make up random excuses. The other elders of the 6 major sects naturally felt comfortable when they heard Lu Muyen say this. They were also very interested in the century-old royal jelly, but they couldn't be as shameless and skinless as Ao Rong to take the initiative to ask for it. Little Lu girl is so generous, this old man likes a junior like you. Ao Rong stroked his beard and smiled. He felt that Lu Muyen was more and more pleasing to the eye now. Before, it was mainly because of her talent, but now it was because her temperament suited his appetite. Such a good seedling must be dug into the 8 Extremes sect. Thank you for your love, senior. Lu Muyen smiled humbly. Buzz buzz. A harsh scream came and the scarlet bees chasing Lu Muyen flew wave after wave towards them from the distance, a huge dark mass. Under the control of the several Tier 7 scarlet bees, the Tier 6 scarlet bees desperately clashed against the white light cover. One wave was killed by the array, but another wave would rush up again, unafraid of death. And all the scarlet bees were glaring fiercely at Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan, baring their fangs. They had clearly recognized their appearance and aura. Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan glanced at each other and discovered the speechlessness in each other's eyes. These scarlet bees really didn't give up. The scarlet bees rushed against the array desperately, clashing again even after a wave died, and after clashing those would die too. The people present weren't fools, so they naturally wouldn't believe Lu Muyen's excuse, nor would they believe that she only had such an amount of century-old royal jelly. Lu Muyen, just what did you do to these scarlet bees? Why do they look at you and Yi Qinghan as if they're trying to kill the people that killed their family? Some people guessed that Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan definitely must have gotten something good in the scarlet bee's nest, otherwise they wouldn't be hunted down by the scarlet bee swarm. Lu Muyen then revealed an innocent expression. Qinghan and I discovered the scarlet bee nest accidentally, then we thought about obtaining some royal jelly back, but who knew that we only got 2 barrels before being discovered by the scarlet bee Empress. She screamed and called for her companions relentlessly. We could only take action, then cut off one of her wings, so we completely caused trouble and were chased by these scarlet bees for several days. Then she took out the bee Empress wing that she had dismembered long ago from her interspatial ring. And as if to confirm what she said, those scarlet bees went crazy when they saw the translucent wing, and all of them glared with their crimson eyes, rushing against the array regardless of their deaths, as if to snatch the wing back. After listening to Lu Muyen's explanation and when they saw the severed wing, everyone was in a complete mess. Just what kind of guts did she grow? She actually dared to take Yi Qinghan to poke a scarlet bee's nest. Not only that, but also cut off the wing of the scarlet bee Empress. It would be utterly weird if those scarlet bees didn't fight you. Everyone agreed inwardly that it was Lu Muyen who encouraged Yi Qinghan to go. Only this crazy woman would do such a crazy act. A stable person like Yi Qinghan was definitely dragged there. Well, one must say these people saw the truth. Cough cough. Ao Rong glanced at the wing on the ground, then looked up at the scarlet bees who were madly beating outside the array, and he couldn't help twitching the corners of his lips. Even he didn't dare go provoke the scarlet bees. Lu Muyen, this girl sure was too courageous. Anyone who knew anything about the scarlet bees knew that the most important thing on the scarlet bee Empress wasn't her gestational sac, but her wings. Her wings could naturally absorb the spiritual force of heaven and earth and convert it into something that could help her fertility. Only after the scarlet bee Empress absorbed it could she continuously breed scarlet bee colonies. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Lu Muyen chopped off one of the wings that they depended on for survival, and even ran away with it. It was no wonder that the Scarlet Bee Empress went crazy. It was only excusable for her ordering the swarm to hunt down and attack Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan. Little Lu girl, how did you cut off the wing of the Scarlet Bee Empress? The elder of the Spirit Tamers sect thought very highly of the both of them, and asked with a gentle tone. How could the two of them who only had sword sovereign strength have penetrated into the Scarlet Bee hive? This was the question in everyone's heart. Lu Muyen blinked, took out a used invisibility talisman and said, Qinghan has this thing, so we dared to sneak all the way in to get the royal jelly. Who knew that we were then stared at by a pair of big eyes after only 2 barrels were filled? After hearing her screech, we didn't think much at the time, and I just used our strongest sword skill to attack it. Before it could resist, I cut off the Scarlet Bee Empress wing, then we ran away with this wing. After finishing, she sighed regretfully, it's a pity that I only got 2 barrels of royal jelly. She naturally wouldn't expose the contract with the new Empress, let alone make them suspect that she got something good. Therefore, before deciding to lead the Scarlet Bees back to the top of the mountain, she had thought out a countermeasure and excuse, and wouldn't worry that they wouldn't believe it. Those Scarlet Bees looked at her and Yi Qinghan as if they had a feud large enough to destroy one's family. If it were only for 2 barrels of royal jelly, it was impossible. So with her telling them this, they would at least be half believing. Her current cultivation base wasn't high, and the principle of not revealing her wealth worked everywhere. If the Spirit Tamers sect knew that she had the bee pupa of the Scarlet Bee Empress on her, then they would probably use any means to snatch it away. Seeing the bit of annoyance on her stunning little face, not at all worried about the Scarlet Bees, but instead looking as if she had suffered a loss to only obtain 2 barrels of royal jelly, everyone present rolled their eyes inwardly. You already obtained 2 barrels, what more do you want? And one of the most important wings of the Empress was cut off by you too. This was a priceless treasure. The Scarlet Bee Empress wings were one of the peak quality materials for refining magic tools. Wasn't she going to make a fortune? And yet she was still unsatisfied. How should they, people who are feeling jealousy, envy and hatred, feel? There was an arc on Yi Qinghan's lips. Lu Muyen sure could make up stories so well. He didn't dislike such a personality, and on the contrary, such an appearance made him feel that she was very cute. He was from a distinguished clan in the eastern region, so it was reasonable to say that he had 1 or 2 invisibility talismans on him. After all, their Yi clan also had a solid foundation. However, if the invisibility talisman was made known to others that Lu Muyen made it, then it would be difficult to explain. The Lu clan definitely wouldn't be able to afford such a talisman. Lu Muyen didn't want to reveal that she knew how to refine talismans. Although the Scarlet Bee swarm is strong, but the Scarlet Bee Empress is very fragile. It's normal for you to successfully attack her and cut off one of her wings. Ao Rong then looked at the two of them disapprovingly and said, but your approach is too risky. It isn't impossible to be buried in the hive in order to just get some royal jelly. In the future you should focus on protecting your life and safety. Thank you for your teachings, senior. The two of them said simultaneously. Although Ao Rong's words were reprimanding, but they were also for their own good, and neither of them would quarrel with him. It was rare for the other elders to agree with Ao Rong's words unanimously. If the two of them died just because of some rare royal jelly, then it would be a loss for their 6 major sects. After all, both of them were in the top 10. After hearing Lu Muyan's explanation, seeing the wing she took out, and the madness of the Scarlet Bees, everyone present believed her words and no longer doubted that she obtained some kind of treasure, hence being chased by the Scarlet Bees. Chapter 321. Qixio is Mingxiu. The Scarlet Bees were social animals and didn't like to go out. They would build their nests in a fixed location and didn't like to collect treasures either. Their only hobby was collecting pollen to make honey. Lu Muyen and the two ran wildly with the wing of the Scarlet Bee Empress, so the Scarlet Bees naturally chased them to get the wing back. After all, the Scarlet Bee Empress wings could be refused even if they were broken. As long as they snatched the broken wing back, the Empress could still recover it in a short while. The doubts in everyone's hearts were mostly resolved, and there was an inexplicable feeling for the two of them who took such a risk to get royal jelly. Not only admiration for their courage, but they also felt that the behavior of the two was too impulsive, too reckless and too crazy. It's almost time. The sect selection ceremony will take place in an hour. The wise white-haired elderly man from the heavenly secret palace gave Lu Muyen a meaningful look, then immediately retracted his eyes and spoke lightly. Everything Lu Muyen explained was reasonable, but he just felt that things weren't that simple. At least, from the perspective of Lu Muyen's temperament, she didn't look like someone who would risk death for a few barrels of royal jelly. But this was just a feeling. He quickly tossed it away. Even if Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan obtained a fortuitous encounter in the hive, there was no way to know now. With a change of mind, he thought that if Lu Muyen entered the heavenly secret palace, he would be able to check it thoroughly. Yes. After hearing the words of the most authoritative elder, all the sword masters who participated in the competition replied respectfully. Lu Muyen also took advantage of this free time to gift out royal jelly with Yi Qinghan, 1 bottle per person. Of course, for people who they had a good relationship with, she directly stuffed 2 or 3 bottles. Although others envied them, but they didn't say much. After all, it wasn't bad that they could obtain the royal jelly that Lu Muyen and Yi Qinghan risked their lives to snatch. They remembered Lu Muyen's generosity in their hearts, and their goodwill towards them increased a lot. An hour later, the royal jelly was also divided. Everyone stood together and waited for the last part of the competition, the sect selection. Seeing the 100 sword masters who participated in the competition standing in orderly and quiet rows, waiting, the elders of the heavenly secret palace revealed some satisfaction on their faces. Generally speaking, the sword masters of this session were better than the previous 2 sessions in terms of talent and strength. This old man is the elder of the heavenly secret palace. You all already know the rules for the selection of sects. Now we won't waste any more time. The representatives of the inner core pupils of each sect will announce the belonging of the 11th to the 100th place. After he finished speaking, 6 people came out of the building behind him, all holding a scroll. The man in the lead was dressed in white, handsome in appearance, tall in figure, and had a noble, fallen immortal temperament that lingered around him, giving people a feeling of inviolability and one in comparison to everyone else. When Lu Muyen saw the man in white that was so handsome he was not like a mortal, her beautiful pupils constricted, but there was nothing strange on her expression. As if he had felt her response, the man's gaze moved to Lu Muyen, with a faint smile in his eyes. Then he walked over to the elder of the heavenly secret palace without being distracted. The other 5 also walked to the elders of the 5 sects. Qi Xiu, announced the list of my heavenly secret palace's new pupils. The elder of the heavenly secret palace revealed a rare kindness and amicability in his gaze, and at first glance, one could see that he liked the white-clothed man very much. Qi Xiu nodded with a smile, and his long and slender fingers opened the scroll. His voice was as fine and pleasant as a clear spring, and he read the names of the sword masters below one by one. Many female sword masters all had their gaze cast on him, sticking tightly. This was the most handsome man with the best temperament they had ever seen in their lives. After Qi Xiu finished reading, the representative pupils of the other sects also opened their scrolls and read their names, but not many people paid attention. All the glory seemed to bloom only for Qi Xiu. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes inwardly. Ming Xiu, this guy sure could pretend to be a fallen immortal very well. If it weren't for her incomparable familiarity with his aura, she would even have thought that the white-clothed man standing in front of her was his elder twin brother. Woman, have you chosen a sect? The magnetic and clear, sexy voice entered Lu Muyen's sea of consciousness, which made her heart tingle. She couldn't resist nice and sexy voices the most. This guy's voice was even better than Luo. Yes. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, I've chosen. Lu Muyen said without a good attitude. This guy left in a hurry after saving her last time. Who knew that when she saw him again, his identity had turned into that of an inner core pupil of the heavenly secret palace. This made her feel like she had never seen him clearly. The mental energy of the two was above everyone here, so their telepathy wasn't discovered, not even by the elders of the 6 major sects. The smile in Ming Xiu's eyes was even stronger. This little woman's small temper was also a manifestation of her concern and interest for him. Which sect did you choose? Take a guess. You think you'll choose the heavenly secret palace. Lu Muyen thought of something, then blinked her eyes as she telepathically said. The corners of Ming Xiu's lips lifted slightly. The heavenly secret palace isn't suitable for you. Lu Muyen was surprised. She just felt that there was no need for Ming Xiu to join the heavenly secret palace because of his status in the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. When he appeared as Monarch Ming, he wore a mask, so he probably entered the heavenly secret palace with some sort of purpose. Or was he a spy sent by the heavenly secret palace to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance? The first option was more likely. After pondering for a bit, she said, I choose the 8 Extremes sect. Ming Xiu's dark eyes as deep as the sea constricted slightly, then sighed, still couldn't escape it? He guessed that Lu Muyen might choose the sword sect or the medicine sect, but he didn't expect that she would choose the 8 Extremes sect, which was currently at the bottom of the 6 major sects. Although her choice was consistent with what he expected, but he was also afraid that she would be in danger in the end. After a while, there was a certain determination in his eyes. Lu Muyen would be the woman who would stand side by side with him above the clouds to watch the scenery together in the future. His woman wouldn't be the daughter flower that could only survive by entangling itself around vines. She needed to go through the baptism of wind and rain to bloom her most beautiful youthfulness. Although the 8 extreme sect is at the bottom of the 6 major sects, but it's not that simple. Have you thought carefully about it? Lu Muyen nodded. I'm certain. I choose the 8 extreme sect. She chose the 8 extreme sect because the sect was famous for its arrays, smithing and talismans. She was very talented in arrays and also knew a lot of arrays, but she was also thirsty for knowledge of the arrays on this continent, and the 8 extreme sect that had the strongest foundation in arrays was most suitable for her. In addition, when she first arrived at the top of the mountain, the man who had been silently cultivating in her pendant suddenly spoke up and asked her to choose the 8 extreme sect. It was said that the forbidden area of the sect hid something useful for his recovery. Although a devil cultivator's words couldn't be trusted, but since it was consistent with her choice, then she naturally wouldn't object. Woman, he'll tell you a secret when we meet again next time. It was currently not appropriate to telepathically say such important things. All right. Although Lu Muyen couldn't see through Ming Xiu clearly right now, but she had an indescribable sense of trust in him and she knew that he wouldn't harm her. She would one day learn about his past, present, and future. We'll meet again very soon. Ming Xiu said. How will we meet when we're in different sects in the future? Lu Muyen asked in confusion. Most importantly, Ming Xiu was an inner core pupil of the Heavenly Secret Palace, and her entering the 8 extreme sect only meant that she was an outer core pupil. How much overlap would there be between them? The land of inheritance is about to open. I believe that it's very easy for you to win a spot with your ability. Ming Xiu's voice carried a smile. Lu Muyen rolled her eyes. You sure think highly of me. So the two of them tacitly agreed that they would meet in the land of inheritance next time, or they may even meet again sooner. One decided to go with Devil Cultivator instead of Mystic Cultivator for the translation of Mo Xiu, because Devil seems more accurate. We'll be going back to edit the terminology before. When I have time XD I did use Devil Cultivator for the term, Xia Xiu, but the author has never mentioned that again after introducing, so I'm guessing the author could have just stuck with instead of. Whatever, if ever pops up again he'll think of another term. XD sorry for the many changes. And I know I haven't gone back to edit a lot of the terminology I said I will, so there may still be inconsistencies but just haven't been bothered ha. Anyways, may have a burst of chapters coming soon since I'm very ahead in translation XD I just need the motivation to edit then proofread them bunch at a time haha. Chapter 322. Select a sect. When the last person finished reading the list, the sword masters from the 11th to the 100th place were all divided up by the 6 major sects. Lu Muyen listened carefully. The people she was with were divided into one of the sects, except for Yi Qinghan, who entered the top 10 together with her. Lu Mu Bai and Yun Lan were allocated to the sword sect. Yun Ziamo and Fu Chen were at the Heavenly Secret Palace. Qi Yixin went to the Vast Mountain sect, and Ling Fei Yang was allocated the 8 extreme sect. None of the 5 people from Yanzhou Kingdom were eliminated and all of them were selected by a sect. When the list of where the 90 people belonged to was finished, the wise elder from the Heavenly Secret Palace looked at the 10 people standing in front of him lovingly and said, You are the top 10 in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony and are qualified to choose the sect you want to enter yourself. You must have all thought about it before, so let's start from the last one in the ranking. He Su Feng had already been predetermined, so he smiled and said decisively, Junior chooses the sword sect. The leader of the sword sect nodded with satisfaction. He had good talent and his clan was also connected to the sword sect, so he had already been predetermined. Participating in the competition was only to directly become the core pupil of the outer sect. Of course, not everyone needed to join the 6 major sects through participating in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony, but the sword masters who entered the sect through the competition would not only skip being an outer pupil and be directly promoted to outer core pupil, but the resources they obtained would also be the best among the pupils of the same status. The outer core pupil was actually just a transition. As long as one had the ability to pass the grand competition of the sect, one could become an inner pupil. The fastest would take a few years, and the status and resources one enjoyed were simply at 2 different levels. Not only that, the top 10 people would receive the value and attention of major forces, which were conducive to the development of their clan. Therefore, that was why there were so many heirs of distinguished clans or royal families who participated in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony. The ninth place was Ji Xian, who chose the medicine sect. No one knew that Ji Xian was actually an alchemist and also a grade 3-1 at that. 8th place was Si Nan, who chose the Heavenly Secret Palace. 7th was Luo Li, who chose the Vast Mountain sect. 6th was Yi Qing Han, who chose the Spirit Tamers sect. 5th was Yen Jun, who chose the 8 Extremes sect. 4th was Xiao Junyao. He was also predetermined, so he chose the Heavenly Secret Palace. When it came to the third, Luo Yi, the elder of the Vast Mountain sect, took the lead and said with a smile, "Luo Yi, your younger brother chose our Vast Mountain sect. You must also want to choose our Vast Mountain sect, right?" Although the top 3 all had people from their 6 major sects to contact and win over, but they didn't express their positions, so they had to do their best to attract them into their sect. Ao Rong of the 8 Extremes sect had always been at odds with him and laughed with ridicule. "How shan, old man, you shameless old thing. What does Luo Yi wanting to choose the same sect as his younger brother or not have to do with you?" Immediately he looked at Luo Yi carefully and sighed inwardly. This kid had an elegant disposition and outstanding temperament, but unfortunately wasn't suited for the 8 Extremes sect. He contemplated, then continued, "This old man thinks that Luo Boy is more suitable for the Sword sect." Hearing his words, the elders of the Sword sect felt a rare feeling as if Ao Rong had never been this pleasing to their eyes. He also wanted Luo Yi. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect's nose was crooked with anger and he snorted coldly, "Humph! You won't choose your 8 Extreme sect anyway." Lu Muyen knew that Luo Yi's constitution was somewhat special, similar to the Spirit Sword constitution of the immortal cultivation world, and the most suitable was indeed the Sword sect. Although the elder of the 8 Extreme sect destroyed the stage of the elder of the Vast Mountain sect, but he spoke wisely and straight to the essence with one sentence. It seemed that he wasn't as reckless and simple as he appeared. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, Junior chooses the Sword sect. Luo Yi said his choice with a light smile and interrupted the behavior of the 2 elders who continued bickering. There was a smile on the serious face of the elder of the Sword sect. "The Sword sect is indeed the most suitable place for you. With such aptitude of yours, we will definitely focus on raising you. And the resources will also be double that of other outer core pupils." He still had this much right. Luo Yi would definitely soon become one of the most brilliant geniuses in the Sword sect. He said these words not only because he wanted to ease Luo Yi's heart but also because he wanted Lu Muyen and Chu Han to experience the benefits of the Sword sect, so he emphasized focusing on raising and double the resources. Even if the other sword masters who were assigned to the Sword sect felt uncomfortable, but they wouldn't object. After all, this world where strength was respected was just this cruel. If one wanted to be thought highly of and to enjoy more recourse, then they must be strong themselves. Luo Yi's talent and strength were far beyond their reach. The elder of the Vast Mountain sect didn't look good, but knew that Luo Yi's constitution was special. It was expected that he would choose the Sword sect. Either way, it was fine as long as he didn't choose the 8 Extreme sect. Next, when it came to Chu Han's choice, before he even opened his mouth, the elder of the Medicine sect took the lead. "Chu Han, if you join the Medicine sect, all the pills you need to advance to Sword Saint will be provided by our sect." Although Chu Han wasn't an alchemist, but his talent was very suitable for a school of the Medicine sect. With such talent, even if they spent a lot of resources to raise, it would still be worthwhile. Hearing the bait thrown out by the Medicine sect's elder, many other sword masters became jealous. The pills required to be promoted from Sword Sovereign to Sword Saint was all provided by the Medicine sect. This meant that Chu Han basically had at least half a chance of advancing to Sword Saint. The expressions of the elders of the other major sects changed. The elder of the Medicine sect usually looked quite upright, but actually tempted Chu Han with such a huge bait. This old thing was too devious. "Chu Han, if you choose our Vast Mountain sect, our sect will cover all the beast blood you need to advance to Sword Saint." The elder of the Vast Mountain sect said, not to be outdone. Although the Spirit Tamer sect also wanted to bring in talented pupils like Chu Han, but Chu Han wasn't a spirit beast master and his value wasn't even as great as Yi Qing Han was in their eyes, so he didn't say anything to contend. The elder of the Sword sect also threw out a bait. "Chu Han, as long as you choose the Sword sect can give you a set of heaven-rank sword skill." Hearing this bait, the people below all clicked their tongues. A heaven-rank sword skill was something that many distinguished clans didn't even have. After Chu Han entered the sect, not only could he obtain key training, but he could also obtain a set of heaven-rank sword skills without making any contributions. Who knew what luck he stepped on? The elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace smiled kindly and said, "Chu Han, as long as you voluntarily join the Heavenly Secret Palace, A Sword Saint Elder of the inner sect will accept you as a closed-door pupil, and the resources of the sect will also help you advance to Sword Saint faster. This was obviously a huge cake for Chu-Han, and this cake was very rich and delicious. It just depended on what he chose. The Elder of the 8 Extreme sect didn't speak. He could see that Chu-Han's eyes were firm, and he probably had already made a decision and would not change it. He didn't even hesitate when the other elders of each sect were trying to win him over. He wondered to which sect this boy with such a firm heart and mind and such excellent talent would fall into. This junior selects the Heavenly Secret Palace. But being the closed-door pupil of an inner elder can be exempted. I want to use my own abilities to enter the inner sect to become a core pupil. Chu-Han's cold expression was filled with confidence and dominance. He also had this capital. The elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace was overjoyed. Good. You have ambition. I believe that I will see you in the inner sect soon. Many other sword masters rolled their eyes inwardly and scolded Chu-Han for being an idiot. Many people couldn't even obtain a Sword Saint Elder of the inner sect to become their master, but he actually directly refused. Although the elders of the other sects were regretful, they didn't say much. The Heavenly Secret Palace was the strongest of the 6 major sects, and Chu-Han's choice was normal. When it was time for Lu Mu-Yen to make her choice, all the elders of the 6 major sects looked at her with fiery eyes, as if wolves that had been hungry for a long time. Chapter 323. The baits of each sect. Lu Mu-Yen was stared at by 7 pairs of fiery eyes, but her expression was neutral and was as calm as a gentle breeze and floating clouds. The other sword masters present also turned their attention to Lu Mu-Yen. The elders of the 6 major sects offered such good conditions to Chu-Han, so they would probably be even more so towards Lu Mu-Yen. None of the elders of the major sects spoke first, wanting to hear the conditions of the other parties, then add their own chips. Lu Mu-Yen looked at them in confusion and waited a little. Just as she was about to say her own choice, the elder of the vast mountain sect spoke first. Little Lu girl, I know you are a body cultivator. The best body cultivation classics are at our vast mountain sect. If you join our sect, I can make the decision to let you choose a heaven-rank body cultivation manual to cultivate and provide you with the beast blood you need to advance to Sword Saint. Such a bargaining chip couldn't be considered a small deal, but they who were sects with deep foundations wouldn't be stingy with geniuses. Hearing the end, the sword masters below all gasped. But Lu Mu-Yen smiled lightly and didn't answer immediately. As far as she knew, heaven-rank body refining methods could be exchanged as long as one reached a certain contribution value to the sect, and it was only a copy of the method. And being able to provide beast blood to promote to Sword Saint was only a cake that couldn't be seen. Cultivators couldn't use beast blood to refine their bodies frequently, and it was the same for body cultivators. If she couldn't advance at all, then the consumption of beast blood would naturally not be much. In addition, if she really advanced to Sword Saint, then the sect would have an extra powerhouse, so the beast blood they invested would naturally be rewarded. Of course, this was a win-win situation, and few wouldn't be tempted by the bait the vast mountain sect threw out. But she was just an exception. Seeing that Lu Mu-Yen was unmoved after hearing the elder of the vast mountain sect toss out such a bait, the elder of the sword sect also revealed a slight smile on his serious face. Little Lu girl, your sword array is very good, but there is still room for improvement. As long as you choose the sword sect, you can choose a set of this sect's heaven-rank sword array or sword skills to cultivate, and the resources allocated for general cultivation is doubled. Little Lu girl, your dual fire and wood elements have reached great achievement. You are born to be an alchemist. If you join the medicine sect, I can let you go to the sect's pill pavilion to read all pill formulas below grade 6, and whatever you can remember is what you get. Of course, you can also choose any one of the sword sect's heaven-rank methods to cultivate. The medicine sect's elder said with a gentle smile, not to be outdone. Pill formulas were the foundation of alchemists. The reason why there were no alchemists above grade 5 outside was precisely because of the lack of pill formulas. Letting Lu Mu-Yen read pill formulas below grade 6 was already one of the highest rewards. If it weren't for her excelling talent, he wouldn't dare to make such a decision for the sect. The elder of the Beast Tamer sect glanced at the several people, then said with a smile, Little Lu girl, your mental energy is so strong, and you also understand contract skills, you're most suited to be a spirit beast master. As long as you join our Spirit Tamer sect, you can also choose a copy of a heaven-rank method, and you can learn any 3 beast taming secret skills from us. You can also read detailed classics of the demonic beasts on the continent. Seeing that the conditions the other sects offered were so rich, the elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace thought about it, then said with a kind smile, Little Lu girl, our heavenly secret palace is the top of all 6 sects. Manuals, secret skills, resources, we don't lack in any. As long as you have enough strength, you can obtain unexpected rewards. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. After hearing Chu Han's rejection to the proposal of a Sword Saint inner sect elder to accept him as a closed-door disciple, he discovered that these people were all very proud and they were more keen on competing for resources themselves. This value was also the foundation on which the Heavenly Secret Palace was built on. Of course, if you choose to join the Heavenly Secret Palace, you will not only be able to choose a heaven rank method, but also a middle-quality saint treasure. He paused, then added, if you want to become the disciple of a Sword Saint powerhouse as a closed-door disciple, that's possible too. Lu Muyen might not want to be a disciple like Chu Han, but he couldn't favor one over the other, so he naturally had to add this condition. Hearing that the elders of the 6 major sects offered such generous conditions only to win over Lu Muyen to choose their sect, many became jealous. Lu Muyen must be the first person in many Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemonies to be so highly valued by the sects. Although they were envious, jealous, and hateful, but they had to admit that her talent was indeed heaven-defying. Most importantly, she wasn't even 18 years old. If the sect vigorously raised her, then it wasn't impossible for her to advance to Sword Saint. This was precisely the difference between people. They desperately tried to enter a sect to become their outer core pupil, but then they even had to desperately cultivate and improve their strength to participate in the sect's inner selections afterwards. Then after entering the inner sect, they would have to work desperately to earn contribution points to exchange for rewards such as heaven rank methods and hope to get the attention of an elder, and best if they could even become a closed-door disciple. But then there were people like Lu Muyen who could obtain these even before entering the sect. How could this not make people jealous? Seeing that the elders of the other sects had all tossed out their bait, the elder of the 8 extreme sect contemplated, and his face was still smiling like a splendid chrysanthemum. Little Lu girl, the conditions put forward by those old things aren't that rare. Heaven rank methods can be exchanged with contribution points. As long as you contribute to the sect, secret skills can also be obtained yourself. It's meaningless. The corners of the lips of the other 5 sects elders twitched. Ao Rong, this damned old thing, made it sound so easy, but getting these things done was another matter. It was already an exception for them to offer so many attractive and rich conditions. First, it was because Lu Muyan's talent was worth raising, and the second was that they also wanted to fight for their sect. How come when it came out from his mouth, heaven rank methods were as ordinary as cabbages? Ao Rong, don't mislead them casually. You can indeed exchange contribution points for manuals and other things, but the required contribution points is also rather high. How's it that easy to exchange? The medicine sect's elder furrowed his brows unhappily and looked at Ao Rong to say. The elder of the vast mountain sect nodded in agreement. I see that you old damn thing is just saying that grapes are sour because you can't have them. Your 8 extreme sect is the bottom of the 6 major sects and you're slandering us because you can't take out that many rewards. You sure aren't embarrassed to say such things. Aside from the wise elder of the Heavenly Secret Palace, the elders of the other major sects also agreed. Ao Rong, what kind of reward do you want to give little Lu girl to enter the sect? Let us know too to see how rare it is. The elder of the vast mountain sect said with a fake smile, looking as if he was waiting to see him make a fool of himself. Ao Rong snorted coldly and glanced at the several people lightly. At least I'm not as superficial as you all. Little Lu girl, I won't mention anything to you first. How about you mention what you want? If it's within a reasonable range and our 8 extreme sect can do it, then I'll promise you 3 conditions. How about it? He smiled very amiably towards Lu Muyen. After hearing his words, Lu Muyen knew that this elder was very clever and sly. Agreeing to 3 conditions within a reasonable range, if she requested conditions outside of that range, then wouldn't it all be for naught? But since she had decided to join the 8 extreme sect, she would naturally not refuse the benefits that sent itself to her door. Is it that I can request a condition within the reasonable range of the sect's abilities? Lu Muyen blinked and smiled lightly as she looked at Ao Rong. Chapter 324. 3 conditions. Seeing Lu Muyen's beautiful eyes shining like stars, Ao Rong secretly thought to himself, oh no, how could he forget this girl's cunning, fox-like temperament? However, what he said naturally couldn't be taken back. Besides, he really liked this little girl's temperament and wanted her to join the sect. Yes, as long as the conditions you put forward meet the requirements, this old man can meet your conditions on behalf of the sect. Then he'll begin to mention it. Lu Muyen said with a smile. First, I want to read the classics regarding arrays and talismans grade 6 and below within the sect. If the grade was raised above grade 6, it would definitely be denied. After all, the advanced classics and manuals were all the foundations of the sect to take a foothold on this continent, and it was impossible to give to her, a core pupil of an outer sect, to read. Sure, no problem. Ao Rong agreed with a wave of his hand. This wasn't difficult. Second, after I enter the outer sect as a core pupil, I need an individual courtyard with abundant spiritual force. I don't like living with other people. She possessed many secrets. Sometimes she would also need to do things like refining pills, so it was inconvenient to live with other pupils of the sect. This is even less of a problem. I can assign you an independent courtyard where you won't be disturbed and guaranteed an abundance of spiritual force. Ao Rong paused, then said, "It's this simple?" The first two conditions were too simple. He had a feeling that Lu Muyan's third condition would be beyond imagination. Lu Muyan nodded. The first two conditions are just that simple. Then the third. Not only did Ao Rong want to know, but the elders of the other 6 major sects and the sword masters present also wanted to know. I heard that the land of inheritance is about to open. I want a spot. Lu Muyan emphasized with a raise of one finger. Ao Rong's face with a bright smile froze. This girl really dared to ask for a lot. There weren't many spots assigned for each sect to the land of inheritance. Each spot was contended for by inner pupils relying on their combat power. New pupils weren't eligible to participate in the competition. After all, they generally didn't have that ability. This is a bit difficult. Ao Rong sighed. The spots for the land of inheritance are all competed for by yourselves when the sect organizes competitions. Even inner sect elders or the sect leader's direct disciples have no privileges and must go themselves to fight for a spot. Is it that new pupils are unable to participate in the competition for spots? Lu Muyan asked after thinking for a bit. It's not that you can't participate, but no new pupils have participated in the competition in the past. The spots for the pupils of each major sect are held in the inner sect. Ao Rong explained. As it was held in the inner sect, even core pupils of the outer sect didn't have the eligibility to participate, so they naturally couldn't go compete. Then I won't cause inconvenience for senior. I want a spot to be able to participate in the competition. If I can win a place to go to the land of inheritance myself, then you must all allow me to go. Lu Muyan said, taking a step back in this conversation. It would be unfair to other inner pupils if she insisted that the sect elders give her a spot to the land of inheritance. Besides, she preferred to use her own strength to fight for what she wanted. Although this is a bit troublesome, but this old man can promise you right now that when the time comes, you can participate in the inner sect's grand competition to compete for a spot. If you can win the spot with your own abilities, then we will naturally not interfere with you going. Ao Rong sighed with relief when he heard her yielding a step, and it made him like the little girl's intelligent temperament even more. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. It was indeed a bit too much to make him promise to directly give a spot to the land of inheritance to her. Wouldn't those little brats of the inner sect and the elders cause chaos? In fact, this request of Lu Muyan's was also very troublesome. He would have to give up his face to ask the sect leader that old thing for it. It sounded like just a competition spot, but it was very difficult to obtain. After all, last time, there were several elders who wanted their direct disciples to participate, and ultimately even fought each other for a spot. Geniuses needed to grow, but it wasn't that every genius could become a powerhouse who could reach the peak. They could raise them with resources in the early stages, but it couldn't be overdone, and it was undesirable if they were too greedy. The condition that Lu Muyan proposed at the beginning was just a test. When she learned how a spot for the land of inheritance was contended for, she took the initiative to take a step back and only wanted a spot to participate in the competition for it. This was an intelligent person. Of course, this also required great confidence and courage in herself. After all, the new outer core pupils and the old inner sect pupils were decidedly different. Little Lu girl, how about you consider some more? Competing with the inner core pupils for a spot isn't as easy as winning first place in the tournament for hegemony. The cultivation base and strength of those older brothers and sisters of the sect are all accumulated over time and heavily raised by the sect. Ao Rong continued, the opening time of the land of inheritance might be in 3 years' time at most, but it may only be in 1 year. Maybe with more time you can surpass them, but it's probably very difficult for you to pull teeth out of a tiger in such a short time. It's not too late to change your condition now. He was afraid that, when the time came, Lu Muyan would be unable to win a spot and it would affect her heart. In his opinion, Lu Muyan's talent was excelling, but she lacked the time to grow, so the chance of competing with the inner sect pupils for a spot to the land of inheritance and winning was practically zero. No need, I still insist on my choice. Lu Muyan's self-confidence and extravagance were undoubtedly revealed. She had her own pride and capital. A year was more than enough time for her to prepare. The expressions of the elders of the other 5 sects changed when they heard the two reach a conclusion. They absolutely couldn't let the elder of the 8 extreme sect snatch Lu Muyan just like this. They all cursed Ao Rong, this shameless old thing, inwardly. Only after they finished giving their conditions did he lead his army. Whoever says that this old man was upright and impulsive in the future, they'd argue with whoever. If Lu Muyan was just talented in cultivation, then they wouldn't be fighting, but she could even become a high-level alchemist or a ray master in the future. These 2 rare professions on the continent were all very popular in the sect and was absolutely worthy of their raise. Little Lu girl, if you come to our vast mountain sect, the conditions I said before will remain the same. I'll also add that you can compete for a spot for the land of inheritance with the inner sect's pupils. You consider it carefully. The elder of the vast mountain sect looked at Lu Muyan with a meaningful smile and added, "This is a major event that's related to your future. Absolutely don't be fooled by others." The elders of the other sects also agreed, and proposed to add this one condition under all the previous conditions. Although it was troublesome, but they could still obtain an opportunity for Lu Muyan to compete with the inner sect's pupils. As for whether she could obtain a spot at that time, it would be up to her. Ao Rong instantly wanted to rage quit. He finally convinced Lu Muyan, but these damned old things just didn't want to see his 8 extreme sect good. Not to mention snatching all the pupils with excelling aptitudes in the past, now they were snatching even after he and her had negotiated. Lu girl, don't listen to these damned old things chirping about. On top of the previous 3 conditions, as long as you choose 8 extreme sect, then this old man will make the decision to let you choose another heaven rank method to cultivate. With a big wave of his arm, Ao Rong glared fiercely at the several sect elders, then withdrew his fierce look and looked at Lu Muyan with a daisy-like smile. 1A saying that means Lu Muyan, the person pulling the teeth, is not going to advance enough to compete against these more powerful pupils, the tiger. Chapter 325. Settled. The vast mountain sects and the several other elders' expressions instantly turned dark when they heard Ao Rong's words. If it weren't that they were afraid of this old thing's strength, they would really like to beat him up. Seeing that they were about to quarrel again, the corners of Lu Muyan's lips twitched. It seemed that there weren't only competitions and disagreements between the 6 major sects, but there were also disagreements between the elders. Thanks seniors for all your love. This junior will still choose the 8 extreme sect. Lu Muyan smiled and said humbly. However, it was also beneficial for the few elders to quarrel. After all, didn't she just obtain an extra heaven rank manual to choose from? The expressions of the several elders who were originally arguing changed when they heard that Lu Muyan actually chose the 8 extreme sect. They all looked at her with regret and pity as well as a feeling of anger, yet they couldn't argue. Lu Muyan rolled her eyes inwardly. Although the 8 extreme sect was at the bottom of every sect competition, but that didn't mean that it didn't have any background. The fact that it could stand on the continent and not be replaced by other sects or distinguished clans meant that it had its uniqueness. On the other hand, going to a place like the Heavenly Secret Palace was like going into muddy waters. She didn't like to join that fun at all. Towards Lu Muyan's choice, not to mention the other elders, even the other sword masters didn't understand. Most of the first-place winners in the previous sessions chose Heavenly Secret Palace or the Sword Sect. In fact, no one even chose the 8 Extreme Sect from the top 10 in the last session. This time, not only were there 2 people, but Lu Muyan, the unusually smart and alert number 1, even chose the 8 Extreme Sect. How unbelievable. Ao Rong, who was originally glaring at the other elders and scolding them, instantly burst into merry laughter after hearing Lu Muyan's words. Ha, little Lu girl has insight. Those who don't recognize excelling goods simply don't know the greatness of our 8 Extreme Sect. They will definitely regret it in the future. Then he gave her a look as if to say, you have very good insight, I'm optimistic about you. The other sword masters and elders couldn't help twitching the corners of their lips when they heard his big talk. Why couldn't they see how good the 8 Extreme Sect was? On the contrary, many people couldn't help but mutter inwardly, with the 8 Extreme Sect having such an unreliable elder, it seemed that it wasn't that good. Yen Jun chose the 8 Extreme Sect entirely because it was suitable for him. After all, although there were high-grade smiths in the Heavenly Secret Palace, but the one with the strongest foundation was still the 8 Extreme Sect. He was born in the top smith clan on this continent, so he naturally knew many secrets that others didn't know. The 8 Extreme Sect wasn't as weak as what the others thought. He didn't expect Lu Muyen to choose the 8 Extreme sect too, and there was a faint arc on his lips. With the addition of this woman he wouldn't be lonely in the future. The elder of the heavenly secret palace still had a gentle smile on his face, but he was inwardly very grim. He truly never thought that Lu Muyen the number 1 would choose the 8 Extreme sect. This wasn't just a matter of losing a genius, but it was also about the face of the heavenly secret palace. The first place in the past sessions basically all chose the heavenly secret palace, and only their heavenly secret palace could give these geniuses a broader space for development. But no matter how unhappy he was inwardly, Lu Muyen still chose. But he still put this debt on Ao Rong's account. He glanced at Lu Muyen surreptitiously. With this girl's temperament and talent, she probably wouldn't be quiet or calm even if she entered the sect. They mustn't let her grow up too fast. When the sect's grand competition arrived, if she participated, then they'd just get someone to cripple her. Lu Muyen naturally noticed the obscure and sinister gaze of the elder of the heavenly secret palace. The killing intent in his eyes were extremely light, but she still caught it. She sneered. These damned old things were just so hypocritical. As expected, Ao Rong's temperament was more pleasant to her eyes. Although the heavenly secret palace was the number 1 major sect, but it seemed that their character really wasn't good. She now guessed that Ming Xiu must have some secrets to enter the heavenly secret palace, and his true identity was more likely Monarch Ming of the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. Afterwards, the elders of the various sects gathered the newly promoted pupils to explain a matter, and Ao Rong was no exception. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, you have 3 months to go home to visit family and relatives, or handle the secular affairs. Then after 3 months, the sect will send elders to your kingdom or clan one by one to pick you up for you to report to the 8 Extreme sect. He gave the young man next to him a look, and the man smiled lightly and took out more than a dozen fiery red tokens, handing it to them one by one. This is the identity token of the 8 Extreme sect. You must keep it well. When the time comes, the elder that picks you up will need to verify the identity token. Yes, senior brother. The more than a dozen pupils said respectfully. Compared to the other inner pupils of the other sects, this senior brother looked very inconspicuous, especially when compared to Ming Xiu, who was filled with a noble temperament and appeared like a fallen immortal. It was basically the difference between the clouds in the sky and the mud on the ground. But although this ordinary-looking man was an advanced phase sword master, he gave Lu Muyen a more dangerous feeling, and was definitely more difficult to deal with than Chu Han. After about an hour, seeing that the elders of the various sects had finished giving their orders, the elders of the heavenly secret palace looked at the color of the sky. Alright, the great array has activated. You can all prepare to teleport out. After a while, streaks of white light fell from the great array and teleported everyone here out of the competition space. After standing firm, Lu Muyen looked around. It was a wide reception platform, but not the one they had arrived at originally. There were many teleportation arrays in the reception platform right now, and a white-clothed person stood next to each teleportation platform. You can now all teleport to where you want to go according to your own needs. A white-clothed man on the reception platform said. Little beauty, are you going back with me to treat concubine mother's illness or go home first? Sinan quickly walked to Lu Muyen and asked with a gaudy smile on his face. Lu Muyen thought for a bit, then said, He'll go and treat your concubine mother first. She only had 3 months. Since she promised Sinan, then she naturally had to do it. So she would now go treat his concubine mother's condition. If she could treat it within 1 month, then she could use the 2 months left to arrange the Lu clan's private army. Alright, then I'll trouble you. Sinan's eyes revealed a bit of gratitude, and he said with a rare display of seriousness. Lu Muyen smiled and turned to Lu Mubai saying, Big brother, go back first. I'll rush back after treating Sinan's mother. Send my regards to grandpa, father and mother. Alright. Take care of your own safety. Lu Mubai patted her shoulder and said. Afterwards, Lu Muyen stuffed some pills to Ling Fei Yang and Yi Qinghan, making the others very envious. Qinghan, see you again. Before she left, Lu Muyen smiled and looked at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan pressed his thin lips together, then a handsome smile bloomed on his face. Muyen, see you again. Lu Muyen, do you want to go to our Rongzi kingdom to play as well? Luoli had a sunny smile on his face and his eyes were filled with reluctance. In the future, now that they and Lu Muyen weren't in the same sect, they didn't know when they could meet again. I'll go when I have a chance in the future. Lu Muyen took out a few bottles of pills and stuffed them to him. Little wild cat, don't be lazy after you enter the sect. When it's time for the sect's grand competition, I still want to see you explode. Luoli took the pills and rubbed it a few times. There was still Lu Muyan's warmth on it. He pretended to glare at her with a dark expression. Just wait and see how little master shows my might and defeat you. Alright. I'll wait for that. Although Lu Muyan often called him Little Wild Cat, but she only treated him in this special way, so he was very happy within. If he knew that Lu Muyan was actually treating him like this truly because he was extremely similar to that little wild cat she once raised, he'd probably completely explode. After a few more greetings, Lu Muyan followed Si Nan into a large teleportation array. Chapter 326. Conspiracy surfaces. As soon as the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony ended, the news of the competition was sent back to all kingdoms. Yanzhou Kingdom also received accurate news. Your Majesty, there is news from the organizers of the competition. Yun Tianqin was discussing with the officials in the main hall when suddenly, a middle-aged man rushed in with an excited look. The emperor and the other ministers didn't blame him for being reckless when they heard that it was news from the organizers, and their eyes revealed some anticipation. They had already received news that Lu Muyan, Yun Ziamo, and the others had never been eliminated and successfully entered the finals. The entire Yanzhou Kingdom was boiling with exhilaration then. They originally wanted to celebrate grandly, but was stopped by the imperial ancestor, saying that it wouldn't be too late to hold it when it finished. What's the result of the finals? Did little Lu girl make it into the top 100? Yun Tianqin clasped the armrest of his throne tightly. Although he thought it was impossible, but he was still hopeful. After all, the best results was Yanzhou Kingdom ranked in the thousands. The fact that the several people could enter the top 500 not only shocked them, but it also made them unable to resist having higher hopes. Why, Your Majesty, all have entered. The middle-aged man gasped a few times, then said excitedly. Yun Tianqin's eyes widened and the veins on his hands that clasped the armrest were popping. What do you mean that they all entered? All 5 entered the top 100? The officials also turned their attention to the middle-aged man, expecting him to say good results. The middle-aged man swallowed his saliva and calmed his emotions as he said with an excited smile. Yes. There is news from the organizers that all 5 from our Yanzhou Kingdom entered into the top 100 and young Miss Lu also won first place in the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony. What? Yun Tianqin stood up from his throne in utter shock, a face filled with disbelief. He stretched out his hand and pointed at the middle-aged man with slight trembling and asked, Do you mean that little Lu girl won the championship of this tournament of hegemony? Yes, Your Majesty. The middle-aged man took a deep breath and said with a smile. This official also couldn't believe it and asked a few more times. The organizers were certain that the news is true and the reward for our Yanzhou Kingdom will all be sent over within 3 months, and they have allowed Yanzhou Kingdom to expand our territories and be promoted to a large second-rank kingdom in the eastern region. Lu Zhantian and Lu Amo, you both looked shocked and happy. Their Yener actually won the first place in the competition, and Mu Bai also entered the top 100. It was all like a dream. The other officials went quiet for a moment, then instantly exploded. They congratulated Yun Tianqin and the father and son of the Lu clan, and their attitudes were also much more sincere and respectful. Lu Muyan won the first place in the tournament for hegemony. This meant that the Lu clan was bound to follow the rising tide and become the largest clan in Yanzhou Kingdom. As long as the brother and sister pair of the Lu clan continued to rise in their sects, Yanzhou Kingdom could even be promoted again to a large first-rank kingdom in the eastern region because of them. At this time, even those who had grudges with the Lu clan had mixed emotions, but they all congratulated them sincerely. After all, with Yanzhou Kingdom growing stronger, it was beneficial to all of them. Of course, Guyuan Kai's eyes were filled with grimness, but he smiled kindly and joined the congratulatory teams. Yun Tianqin waved his arm excitedly and commanded, Report this good news to the people of the entire empire, and when the 5 of them return to the empire, a 3-day celebration banquet will be held. Yes. Yun Tianqin then gave another order to the celebration official and hurriedly left the Great Hall. He had to tell the news to Imperial Ancestor quickly. On the same day, the entire Yanzhou Kingdom knew that the former Miss Trash of the Lu clan had won the championship in the Continental Tournament for Hegemony, and they were all shocked. The admiration for her also gradually increased, and the entire empire was filled with joy. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks especially because of Lu Muyan, Yanzhou Kingdom could not only expand their territory and be promoted to a large second-class kingdom, but could also obtain many resources rewarded by the organizers. This made the sword masters of the distinguished clans and imperial family all boil with excitement. Who would have known? Who would have known? Xiao Ziang took a sip from a wine cup. Lu Muyan, that prodigal woman, would actually win the championship. I thought that they would be amazing if they could even advance into the top 500. There was jealousy and pride in his tone, but not much envy. Yun Luo sat opposite him and smiled bitterly. Yeah. When Lu Muyen was selected by the imperial teacher and the principal for one of the 5 spots, many people even objected and waited to see the Lu clan's joke. Now is a real slap to their faces. Yun Lan and those boys should have been exposed to that girl's light this time. Xiao Xiang snorted. His several brothers and good friends were all going to sects now, but he still wandered around Yanzhou Kingdom. He huffed, but he was also proud and happy for them inwardly. Yun Luo sighed. Is there a need to say such an obvious thing? These people had a good relationship with Lu Muyen. That woman differentiated clearly between love and hate and was sure to take care of them. Lu Muyen was being discussed in many places in the imperial capital, and she had become the protagonist of a magical story where a trash turned into a genius. In a large hall of the palace, the usually calm eyes of the imperial ancestor were also filled with excitement and joy, and he laughed a few times. Good. 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 After talking to Yun Tianqin about the future preferential treatment of the Lu clan, he calmed down and said, since the little Lu girl gave us such a surprise, we can also start to get rid of the Gu clan. They had already grasped the news that the Gu clan was actually a spy from another kingdom. They didn't do anything before because they wanted to wait for an opportunity. Now it had obviously arrived. Yes, grandson will arrange it now. Yun Tianqin nodded with a ruthless look in his eyes. At the same time, several men in black cloaks were sitting in a secret room of the Gu clan. Humph, Master told you to get rid of the Lu siblings long ago. But you rubbish not only destroyed our army but also let them grow to this level. You deserve to die. The black-clothed sword monarch cultivation base man slammed the wooden table beside him into pieces with his palm, evidently exceptionally angry. Gu Yuankai's expression changed and he asked respectfully, Envoy, is our plan still going as usual? Our empire's plan has already been brewing for so long and will naturally not change because of Lu Muyen, this variable. On the contrary, I have received news from Master that the plan will begin ahead of schedule. The man's voice was filled with grimness. Before the Lu brother and sister pair returns, the plans on the border has already begun. Gu Yuankai was stunned for a moment, then joy appeared on his face. He had long hated the Lu clan and Lu Muyen to death. If the plan was implemented, he would be able to take revenge. Then will we offend the Sword Sect or the 8 Extreme Sect for this? Humph, so what if we offend them? Are they going to interfere in the war between 2 kingdoms? If we kill them both, they can only recognize this as a dumb loss. After all, neither of them has reported to the sects yet. The man paused, then snorted coldly. This is also one of the reasons why we must implement the plan in advance. If we wait for the 2 to grow in the sects and make Yanzhou Kingdom a large first-rank kingdom, then our annexation plan would probably fail. The man sitting in the main seat was filled with sternness. Master will never tolerate such a thing happening. Although the 6 major sects were terrifying, but it was impossible for them to interfere much for 2 dead people. This time, even if they sacrifice a few strong sword sovereign powerhouses, they must still be killed. Fortunately, the 2 Lu siblings hadn't entered the sect and accumulated personal networks. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if a superpower kingdom or other regional large kingdoms interfered. Lu Muyen, who exited the teleportation array with Sinan and arrived at Rian Palace, did not know that a conspiracy that had been brewing for many years was unfolding. Chapter 327. Sinan's hate. As soon as Sinan arrived at the palace, he took Lu Muyen to a remote but quiet and gorgeous palace. Lu Muyen also hoped to get rid of the poison as soon as possible and go back, so she let him hurry. When walking into a bedroom of the palace, they happened to meet a middle-aged man wearing a bright yellow dragon robe walking out with a look of excitement and exhaustion on his face. When he saw Sinan, he paused, then his eyes burst with excitement and he shouted cautiously, Nanaer, you're back. He had just heard that his son had entered the top 10 of the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony and he couldn't help but be excited. When Sinan saw the man, he returned to his heartless cynicism. He took out a gold foil folding fan and fanned it, and his androgynous handsome face was filled with sarcasm. Aya, what kind of wind is blowing today? It actually blew Emperor Father, who has a host of problems every day over here. He called him Emperor Father, but there was sarcasm in his expression and eyes, and there wasn't much respect in his tone. Lu Muyen stood beside Sinan without speaking or greeting. She could see that Sinan had a kind of disdainful hatred for this emperor. Maybe it was a hatred that rose after the respect and love he once had, so it was so strong that even she could feel his resentment. As a friend, even if the other party was the emperor of a superpower kingdom, she would still definitely be on Sinan's side. Moreover, looking at the current situation, Sinan's concubine mother's poison was definitely inextricable from the emperor. Lu Muyen was more disgusted with scumbags. Even her uncle wasn't pleasing to her eye. If it weren't to help her aunt live a more pleasant life and let her aunt learn how to be self-reliant, otherwise she would have cleaned up the so-called emperor of Yanzhou Kingdom who supposedly had been forced to do as he did. On one hand, these men said that they loved a certain woman deeply, but on the other hand they had to constantly accept other women. They also claimed that in order to balance the power in the palace, they were just pretending to express their affection, even if the woman that they loved was hurt by it. But for what? Situ-yi, the emperor of Rian Kingdom, heard the sarcasm in Sinan's voice, but his expression didn't change, as if he had known it would happen. He sighed and said, "Whether you believe it or not, your concubine mother being poisoned is the last thing I want to see. Then go and kill that mother and son pair to vent your anger for my concubine mother." Sinan immediately put away his smile and said coldly. Situ-yi's eyes constricted, furrowed his brows and said, "There's still no evidence for whether concubine Xian really poisoned her or not. If you kill her just based on your speculation, how can you convince the public? Besides, Yuer is your own biological elder brother. I don't expect you brothers to be friendly with each other, but I don't want to see you kill each other." Seeing Sinan's face getting colder, Situ-yi immediately added, "If your mother can wake up or you can find enough evidence, Zhen will punish concubine Xian as you wish. Humph, in the end you just can't let go of that mother and son. Even if they are murderers you'll still protect them, hypocrite." Sinan snorted coldly, grabbed Lu Muyan's arm, and quickly entered the imperial bedroom. How obvious was the evidence back then? Concubine Xian, that woman, just cried and knelt outside of the hall for a few days, then that man really believed her innocence. It truly was disgusting him. Situ-yi's face sank. The woman he loved the most had been in a coma for a decade. If they couldn't find a cure, then she would slowly lose her vitality, while his most beloved son regarded him as a beast. His heart was as if it were being cut with a knife. Concubine Xian had been with him for so many years. Even if he didn't love her, there were still feelings. Most importantly, the evidence wasn't enough right now, so how could she be convicted? The second prince was also one of his favorite sons. Although he wasn't as good as Sinan, but he had still been pampered by him for so many years, so how could he go and kill them with his own hands? He closed his eyes in pain. Then he suddenly remembered something and asked the leader of the secret guard behind him, "Who was the woman who entered the palace bedroom with Nanair earlier?" Although his son was frivolous with a poisonous tongue on the surface, but he knew that it was just a way to hide himself. This was the first time he saw his son bring a woman here, so he couldn't help but be curious. Reporting to Emperor. That woman is called Lu Muyen, a person from the small kingdom of Yanzhou in the eastern region. The leader of the secret guard saw Situ-yi furrow his brows and continued, but this time she amazed everyone. She not only has become the black horse of this session's Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony, but also won the first place. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. As early as when Sinan led her here, did he already find out the details of Lu Muyen? First place. The shock on Situ-yi's eyes replaced his gloom, then asked after a bit, "What did Nanair bring her here for?" Reporting to Emperor, "This has not been found yet. Forget it, he can do whatever he wants to do recently. In 3 more months he will go to Heavenly Secret Palace to report. It will be difficult for me to meet him again." Situ-yi sighed, turned to look at the 2 figures that had already disappeared, then turned around and walked out of the palace. Since that woman could win the first place in the tournament for hegemony, then she must have her own abilities. As long as she wasn't a woman of unknown origin, then he wouldn't interfere with his son's developments. After entering the bedroom, Lu Muyen saw that there was a millennium-old warm jade bed at the very innermost corner, on which a stunning woman who was pale and bloodless laid, but was still exceptionally beautiful. "She is my concubine mother." Sinan looked at the woman on the bed, his cold eyes melted away with warmth. Lu Muyen nodded, "I'll take a look first." After speaking, she went straight to the big bed and sat down, picked up the woman's wrist and began to feel her pulse. After a while, her willow brows furrowed slightly, and she changed the hand and felt the pulse again. She breathed a sigh of relief after a bit and said, "Fortunately, the poison hasn't entered the heart veins, otherwise even celestial immortals would have difficulty saving her." Sinan loosened his tightly clenched fists and asked excitedly, "Is there any help for my concubine mother? Did someone protect her heart with a seal before?" Lu Muyen asked without answering. "Yes." The enshrined chief physician of the imperial family used a secret skill to seal the heart of concubine mother a decade ago when she was poisoned. It's a pity that he's been studying for 10 years but still can't solve the water illusion nether dream. Sinan sighed. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed a trace of understanding. It's also thanks to his seal that your concubine mother has survived until now. I can cure the poison, but I need to prepare some spiritual herbs to refine a pill, and I don't have time to study this seal to break it. So ask that enshrined physician to break it. The seal placed by that person used a special secret technique. Although she could break it, but it would take several days. She didn't want to waste it on this kind of thing. She still had to rush back to Yanzhou Kingdom. No problem. If the enshrined physician heard you can cure the poison, he would definitely come find you personally. Hearing that Lu Muyan could detoxify it, Sinan's emotions that were affected by Situi also felt better. Help me pay attention to any news from Yanzhou Kingdom. I've been feeling a little uneasy recently. Lu Muyan said after thinking for a bit. She just had a bad premonition and after a little predicting, figured that something might happen at home in the near future. However, they would be safe within a month, so she asked Sinan to investigate first. Alright, I'll arrange for someone to find out what's going on in Yanzhou Kingdom recently. Sinan nodded in agreement with a serious expression. By the way, do you want to live in this palace or find somewhere else? Sinan asked. Lu Muyan said without hesitation, just stay here. In the next 3 days, I'll open up a few acupuncture points for your concubine mother for the ease of the coming treatments. Alright, I'll get someone to prepare a room for you. Go collect the spiritual herbs I want as soon as possible. I want to use it to refine the elixir for the water illusion nether dream. These spiritual herbs must be delivered to me within 5 days at most. Lu Muyan handed a written list to Sinan. Sinan took it over and looked at it with a solemn expression. Alright, I'll definitely find a way to get them and deliver it within 5 days. Chapter 328. Cure Water Illusion Nether Dream. Lu Muyan used the green mist in her dantian every day to guide her spiritual energy to dredge the meridians that had been inactive for a long time for Sinan's concubine mother. As soon as she finished her work and sat down that day, Sinan walked in with a man in a crimson robe. Muyan, this is Lu Wenqing, the enshrined chief physician of the imperial family. Sinan introduced to Lu Muyan, who was currently making tea as soon as he entered the door. There was a hint of intimacy in his tone, and it could be seen that he had a good relationship with the physician. Lu Muyan raised her head with a faint smile and said, Physician Lu, please take a seat. Then she continued to brew tea with movements like flowing water. With 2 more people opposite, she gave both of them a cup of fragrant tea. Good tea. Lu Qing took a sip from the teacup and said leisurely. Lu Muyan held the teacup in both hands, then raised her eyes to look at Lu Qing. He appeared about 30 years old, handsome in appearance, and had a sense of elegance and grace all around. He should be a man who enjoyed life very much. He didn't restrain his aura, and his cultivation base was initial phase sword sovereign, but Lu Muyan felt a possible aura of a spirit flame that seemed to exist in him. His strength was definitely much higher than that of his cultivation base. Muyan, how is concubine mother's condition? Sinan asked eagerly. Your concubine mother's body has been eroded by poison except for her heart veins. Now, I must first remove the poison in her blood veins, then release the seal in her heart veins. Shall then take the pill I refine, and she can restore her health as long as you nourish her a little longer. Except, after waking up, her body would probably not be as good as before. Lu Muyan didn't hide it. Lu Qing's calm eyes looked at Lu Muyan lightly. I wonder how young Miss Lu is going to remove the poison from the imperial concubine's blood? This doesn't Physician Lu know? Even if others can't get rid of the poison, but I believe that Physician Lu can. Lu Muyan looked at the calm man in front of him and said with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. She caught Lu Qing's gentle look when he was looking at the person on the bed as soon as he entered the door. Although he quickly curbed it, but it was a genuine expression, that of a strong love. She guessed that such a high-level alchemist with a spirit flame wouldn't stay here if it wasn't for love. What do you know? Lu Qing narrowed his eyes dangerously. Lu Muyan hooked her lips up and smiled. Of course I know you have a spirit flame. Since Lu Qing had a spirit flame, then she could save a lot of trouble. With free labor, how could she not use it? Young Miss Lu really has good eyesight. Lu Qing's expression changed, then asked after pondering, but why should I believe that you can solve the water illusion nether dream after removing the toxins from her whole body? As one of the 10 wonder poisons, the water illusion nether dream wasn't like other poisons that could be detoxified by removing all the toxins in the body. Instead, it could only be detoxified by eliminating the root cause in the body by special methods. Otherwise, even if the toxins in the body were removed, the venom would still spread all over the Bodhis meridians within a year. It was a pity that the cures to the Tianling continent's 10 wonder poisons were all extinct, otherwise he wouldn't have spent 10 years and couldn't completely detoxify the poison. No reason, but you can only trust me now. Lu Muyen glanced at the stunning woman that was lying down. If you don't detoxify it, even if you seal her heart veins, she can only live 3 more months at most. What? Sinan turned pale, turned to look at Lu Qing and asked, Uncle Lu, is this true? It wasn't that he didn't believe Lu Muyen, but he didn't dare accept this fact. Yes. Lu Qing closed his eyes to hide the pain in his eyes, then replied with one word solemnly. Sinan clenched his hands, then released them and asked Lu Muyen in a daze, Muyen, please. Lu Muyen actually didn't expect Sinan, who usually appeared to have a poisonous mouth and a dark heart, to have such a pure filial heart. She nodded, Don't worry, as long as Great Master Lu cooperates well, I have more than 80% confidence that the poison will be cured. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, the 10 wonder poisons on this continent existed in the immortal cultivation world too, and even the names were similar. The cures here were extinct, however she happened to know the cure. Alright, this one Lu believes in young Miss Lu, order as you will for how I should cooperate. Lu Qing's eyes deepened and he made a decision. In any case he could only give it a shot. He had already investigated Lu Muyan's details. Not only could she cure her own terminal meridian's constitution, but could also cure Yiqing Lu, who was carrying a fetal poison since she was born and wouldn't live past the age of 18. This alone showed that her medical skills were extraordinary. Most importantly was that she actually discovered his spirit flame without him using elemental energy. Even a strong sword venerable powerhouse wouldn't be able to have such sharp senses. And he could only trust her. He couldn't watch the woman he loved die. Let alone 80% of certainty, even if it wasn't higher than half, he was still willing to try. Lu Muyen nodded, then said to Sinan, Have you found the spiritual herbs I asked you to find? I found them. With a thought, a pile of spiritual herbs fell on the table. Lu Muyen swept them with her eyes, and they were indeed all what she needed. After putting them away, she drank a few cups of tea, got up, then said, I'm going to my room now to refine pills. Great Master Lu will use the spirit flame to expel the poison for the imperial concubine first. 3 days later, I'll come out to treat her. All right. Lu Qing said decisively. He had used the spirit flame to expel toxins from his beloved's body before, but unfortunately, the root of the water illusion nether dream wasn't completely cured. In only 1 year, the venom eroded her whole body again, and was even more poisonous, so he didn't dare do such a thing again. Because of that one experience, it was now easier to clear it, and 3 days was just enough. 3 days later, Lu Muyen returned to the palace bedroom and saw Lu Qing sitting on a chair beside the bed with a pale face, looking at the woman lying down with a very soft expression. Is the toxin removed? She asked as she approached. Lu Qing appeared tired, but there was a little more expectation in his eyes. Removed? Can young Miss Lu completely cure the water illusion nether dream today? You can lift the seal on her heart now. All right. Lu Qing used the last of his energy to release the seal. His physical strength and elemental energy were overdrawn. He quickly took a pill and sat aside to rest, but his eyes were fixed on Lu Muyan's movements. Lu Muyan ignored him, then after thinking about it, took out an array flag and set up an array in the palace to prevent outsiders from affecting her detoxification. A flash of strangeness crossed Lu Qing's eyes when he saw her arrange an array, and he also revealed some appreciation. His elemental energy was overdrawn right now. If a powerhouse came to disturb the detoxification, he wouldn't be able to fight at all. This girl's temperament and vigilance didn't look to belong to a 17-year-old girl at all. Lu Muyen fed a pill to Sinan's concubine mother, took out a set of golden needles and performed acupuncture first. Then she finally inserted a mutant flame carrying a purple-gold flame into the other party's body little by little to search. After about 4 hours, she finally found a small blue light spot in a small corner of Sinan's concubine mother's internal organs. She quickly devoured it with her spirit flame, then fed her a pill and laid her body down. After advancing to peak phase Sword Monarch, she did feel a lot easier when she treated others. Alright, the water illusion nether dream has been completely removed from her body. She'll wake up in 3 days at most. Lu Muyen exhaled a turbid breath and said with a light smile. Lu Qing's eyes burst with pleasant surprise, then he quickly stepped forward to check. After a while, with ecstasy on his calm face, he bowed to Lu Muyen. Thank you, young Miss Lu. A mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Lu Qing will remember this life-saving grace of detoxification and will definitely return it in the future. Lu Muyen smiled lightly and didn't refuse his words of repayment, but furrowed her brows as she looked outside the palace with cold eyes. Now let's deal with the flies outside first. One different Lu Muyen's Lu is, Lu Qing's Lu is. Same pronunciation though. Chapter 329. War begins. Lu Qing's eyes were filled with coldness as he swept over the figures outside the palace. As expected, Lu Muyen had foresight, otherwise the treatment would have been disturbed by these people halfway. Where's Sinan? Lu Muyen heard the noise outside but there was no sound of Sinan, so she turned to ask Lu Qing. Lu Qing replied, he went to check the news of Yanzhou Kingdom. It seems that something happened. I see. Lu Muyen rubbed her chin, looked at the beauty on the bed and asked, after she wakes up, will you take her away? Lu Qing froze, obviously not expecting her to ask such a question, then smiled bitterly, you saw through it? Does she know? Lu Muyen nodded. In her opinion, this man being able to give up his future and stay by the side of a woman who was likely to die at any moment for 10 years, was something that not everyone could do. Either way, he was definitely more trustworthy than that bright yellow figure outside. She probably doesn't. We're martial brother and sister. During a training experience, she met Situ Yi and was taken to the palace. When I found her, she had already given birth to little Nan. Lu Qing scoffed at himself, although she lived in suffering before, but she never thought of leaving that man. How could I take her away? Maybe everything will be different when she wakes up this time. Lu Muyen smiled lightly. Lu Qing didn't know that the person who fell under the water illusion nether dream actually knew everything that happened when they're asleep. The pills she fed her afterwards not only would help her wake up as soon as possible, but would also help her to deepen her memory of the past decade. One man only came to see her occasionally, and didn't deal with the person who harmed her, still favoring the harem beauties, while one man guarded her for 10 years as if to him it were only one day. Who was the most sincere to see Nan's concubine mother? This time she used her life to verify it. I hope. Lu Qing lowered his head to restrain the pain in his eyes. This is the most complete collection of spiritual herbs on the continent. Your medical skills are so brilliant, and you're a grade 3 alchemist. I believe you can use it. Lu Qing recovered his composure and he took out a jade slip and handed it to Lu Muyen. This can be considered a thank you gift. If there's a need in the future, as long as I can help, I'll definitely do my best. Lu Muyen took the jade slip and used her mental energy to sweep through it. Her eyes lowered with a hint of pleasant surprise. She didn't expect Lu Qing to have such a complete introduction to spiritual herbs, even accompanied by images. Many of the spiritual herbs in the jade slip had different names to the immortal cultivation world, but their familiar appearances jumped out to her, which was indeed useful to her. Thank you. Lu Muyen accepted it without being polite, then after thinking about it, took out a jade pendant and handed it to Lu Qing, saying, if she agrees to leave with you and you have nowhere to go, you can go to the Lu clan. Regardless of whether Lu Qing will go to the Lu clan or not, it could be regarded as tying a good knot between him and the Lu clan. All right. Seeing Lu Qing put away the jade pendant, Lu Muyen's lips rose in an arc. She raised her head and looked out the door coldly, then with a thought, the array flag returned to her hand. Immediately, Situ Yi led people to barge in, and when he saw Lu Muyen and Lu Qing he paused, his eyes filled with surprise. I wonder what Emperor is doing here? Lu Qing glanced at Situ Yi blankly. Situ Yi didn't care about Lu Qing's attitude and said with a smile, I didn't expect Great Master Lu to be here. I received news from the secret guards that someone might want to persecute Chenner, so I brought people here. Is the person who Emperor said had bad intentions me? Lu Muyen's expression turned cold. It's only me and Great Master Lu here. Situ Yi didn't expect Lu Muyen to be this bold, but this woman was his son's sweetheart and a pupil of the 8 Extreme sect that they managed to dig to them after so much effort, so he naturally wouldn't blame her for any small mistakes. Of course Zhen is not referring to young Miss Lu. Situ Yi smiled lightly, then the conversation took a sharp turn, but I wonder why young Miss Lu is here along with Great Master Lu, and also arranged an array to prevent others from entering? In his opinion, Lu Muyen couldn't arrange such an array, and he implied that it was Lu Qing who he was questioning. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Just as the two were about to answer, suddenly, a cold voice came from behind. They were all invited by me to treat concubine mother. You have no right to question them. Sinan walked in quickly with a cold expression and blocked in front of Lu Muyen and Lu Qing. Although Situ Yi knew that his son always behaved like this towards him, but he was very displeased. Then how is the treatment of your concubine mother? This you don't need to worry about. Sinan immediately revealed a happy smile, and he approached Situ Yi and said, "You better go to the palace of that concubine Xian quickly. If you go late, you may not be able to save the life of your precious son." "What did you do?" Situ Yi's expression sank and he asked with anger, "He's your blood-related elder brother. He completely believed that Sinan would kill Siyu. My concubine mother only gave birth to me." Sinan snorted disdainfully. "You're really unreasonable." Situ Yi took a deep breath to suppress the urge to slap Sinan, flicked his sleeves, turned around and left with the others. Sinan's eyes flashed with sadness, and the expectations he had left for his father in his heart completely dissipated. "Mu Yin, has concubine mother's poison been cured?" He pressed his lips together and asked. "Cured. If there's no accident, she'll wake up tonight." Lu Muyin had never seen Sinan's desolate look like just now, but she couldn't comfort him either. What this man needed wasn't comfort nor persuasion. Sinan's peach blossom-shaped eyes burst into joy. "It's really cured, concubine mother's finally waking up." Lu Muyin reached out and patted Sinan's shoulder. "I'm tired now, I'll go back to my room to rest first." "Go see your concubine mother." She could see that Sinan and Lu Qing had things to say to each other, so she left on purpose. As the night grew darker, there was a knock at Lu Muyan's door. "Need something?" Lu Muyan opened the door and welcomed Sinan in. Sinan sat down and said, "A mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Just tell me where I can help in the future." Then he handed an interspatial ring to Lu Muyan. "This is a material thank you. I'll keep the personal favor in my heart first and use it when you need it." "All right." Lu Muyan accepted the interspatial ring without hesitation. In addition to the 10,000 spiritual stones inside, there were also many precious spiritual herbs. "By the way, Yanzhou Kingdom and the Paluo Kingdom are at war." Sinan handed Lu Muyan a copy of some fresh news. Lu Muyan took it over and read it once, her face growing more and more solemn. "According to the information you've collected, Paluo Kingdom starting war has been planned for no less than a decade?" "Yes." "Not only that, but there are so many sword masters of high cultivation bases. It seems that they have some kind of energy that can forcibly improve one's cultivation base." Sinan said with furrowed brows. Lu Muyan's eyes grew colder. It seemed that the people who colluded with the Gu clan to attempt to assassinate her and her brothers were the ones from Paluo Kingdom. Paluo Kingdom choosing to go to war at this time was probably because she and her elder brother achieved good results in the continental tournament for hegemony and were also attracted by a sect, which made them feel a sense of crisis. "How's the current battle situation?" Sinan replied, "The situation in Yanzhou Kingdom isn't optimistic. Both your paternal grandfather and your father went to war in person and rushed to the frontier. Originally, both sides were evenly matched at the beginning of the war, but since those mysterious men in black appeared, the situation has turned one-sided. Now Paluo Kingdom has the upper end," Sinan said truthfully. Lu Muyan narrowed her eyes, looked up and said, "Sinan, I need your help now." "All right." Sinan nodded without hesitation. Chapter 330. Return to Yanzhou Kingdom the next day. Sinan's concubine mother woke up and Lu Muyan checked her thoroughly. "The water illusion Nether Dream's poison has been completely cured. Now, your imperial concubine's body will be very weak, but it will recover after a period of conditioning," Lu Muyan said with a smile. Murong Chen had been sleeping for a decade, so her body was still very weak, and her pale face was even softer with a slight smile. "Thank you, Miss Lu, for saving my life. Imperial concubine, there's no need to be polite. Sinan is my friend and we have already made a deal, so you don't owe me anything." Murong Chen was stunned for a moment, and there was a gentle smile on her lips. She liked Lu Muyan's frankness even more. "Regardless, you saved me, so a thank you is necessary. Imperial concubine, you just woke up and you still need more rest. I've left a bottle of pills to replenish your essence. You can take it for a month and you'll see its effects." Lu Muyan took out a bottle of pills and tossed it to Lu Qing. Lu Qing put it away without opening it. He recognized Lu Muyan's medical skills highly. "I heard from Little Nan that young Miss Lu is leaving today? The kingdom from is now at war with another kingdom. All the members of my family have gone to the battlefield, so I'm naturally no exception." Lu Muyan's expression was a little grim. "I'm also about to tell concubine mother and Uncle Lu about this. I'll accompany Lu Muyan to the battlefield to help out today." Sinan pursed his lips and looked at Lu Qing, saying, "I'll trouble Uncle Lu to take care of concubine mother during this time. If Emperor Father comes to visit, Uncle Lu can say that due to you helping to treat concubine mother, you cannot meet him. I'll leave a part of the secret guards to protect this place." Sinan paused, then said with a cold expression, The fact that concubine mother has woken up, don't let anyone know first. Murong Qian naturally heard the resentment and indifference towards that man from her son's tone, but she didn't stop it. 10 years had allowed her to see a person clearly. After waking up, she no longer had that man in her heart, and she would no longer break her wings for him and be locked in the cage that is the palace like a canary. After her son goes to the heavenly secret palace, she would also leave this palace where she paid her pure youth and innocence. You can go. This is what should be done. Murong Qian nodded in response. She could see that her son was interested in Lu Muyen. Since the two wouldn't be in the same sect in the future, going to the battlefield together now was perfect to raise their relationship. She still had a good impression of Lu Muyen, this stunning, straightforward woman. Sinan was ready long before from when he received the news. After chatting idly for a little bit, he would leave the palace with Lu Muyen. Not only did Sinan follow this time, but he also brought 12 sword monarchs and 20 sword kings together. These 30 people were all secret guards trained by Sinan and Lu Qing, and they didn't use those of the imperial family. In Yenzhou Kingdom's palace, Yun Tianqin stood in front of the imperial ancestor and reported the battle situation. The imperial ancestor's expression appeared grim. There were originally 3 sword sovereigns, and now with Lu Mubai and 3 others, there were a total of 7. Of them, 3 guarded the empire, and the other 4 rushed to the battlefield to support. After all, the other party also apparently had 5 sword sovereigns appear. Do you have any news from little Lu girl? Yun Tianqin replied, no news for now. I didn't expect that despite being so well prepared, the Gu clan and their elites still all escaped. It was truly a miscalculation. The imperial ancestor sighed. No one would have thought that the Gu clan had already made preparations to escape, that there were 6 sword monarchs in the mansion to help out, and all the secret guards of the imperial family that went to the Gu clan would all be lost. Yun Tianqin revealed a sad expression. Those royal secret guards were all carefully cultivated by them for many years, but they didn't expect half to have died in the hands of the Gu clan. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, if we continue like this, Yenzhou Kingdom would be in danger. Yun Tianqin smiled bitterly, I can only do my best to fight. If all really is lost in the end, then it's either the fish dies or the net gets torn one. Although Yenzhou was a small kingdom, but they weren't powerless to fight back. If they really were going to be destroyed, even if it was risking their lives, then they would still use their trump card to severely damage their enemy. The two discussed a few more countermeasures. As soon as Yun Tianqin left the palace where the imperial ancestor was, there was someone who came to report that Lu Muyen was back, and also brought along a group of strong people. Yun Tianqin was extremely excited. He was an emperor who worked hard to rule, so naturally he didn't want to see the scene of his country's ruin. He wasn't the only one who was responsible for the rise and fall of his kingdom. With Lu Muyen back, he was inexplicably relieved. Lu Muyen led Sinan to meet Yun Tianqin. Uncle, this is Sinan who's come to help our Yenzhou. Lu Muyen introduced Sinan to Yun Tianqin with a light smile, but didn't mention his kingdom. With Sinan's current attitude, he seemed to want to leave the imperial family. Yun Tianqin naturally knew who Sinan was, and his attitude was very friendly. It's a great honor for Yenzhou Kingdom to have the 5th prince join us. We are extremely grateful. I'm friends with Muyen, so it's only right to come help out. Sinan smiled, his meaning very clear. Today he came to help, not for Yenzhou Kingdom but because of Lu Muyen. How about you all take a day to rest before going to the battlefield? Yun Tianqin naturally hoped that they would rush to the battlefield as soon as possible, but he still said very considerately. How could Lu Muyen not be able to guess Yun Tianqin's thoughts? She smiled lightly and asked, Emperor Uncle, how is the battle at the frontier? Did my elder brother and the others arrive? The battle situation at the frontier isn't satisfactory. Many mysterious sword kings and sword monarchs suddenly appeared in Palyuo Kingdom. With their addition, our side is simply unable to fight directly. Yun Tianqin sighed, Mu Bai Zmo and the others have already rushed over, but I heard that the other party seems to have 5 sword sovereign powerhouses, so our chances of winning aren't big. As for your maternal grandfather, he's already overseeing the frontier, but it's useless if we have no high-level powerhouses in hand. In front of strength, strategy isn't that useful anymore. Lu Muyen furrowed her brows. It seemed that the battle situation had indeed exceeded expectations. Your Majesty, there is an urgent report. At this moment, a guard hurriedly walked in and delivered a battle report respectfully. Yun Tianqin took it and read it, his eyes filled with shock and anger. Seeing Lu Muyen staring at him, he handed her the battle report. Lu Muyen took the battle report and looked at it. Her furrowed brows knitted even deeper and she read the news out loud. 10 cities have fallen in the border. Old General Lu was injured by a sneak attack by a sword monarch, but fortunately Lu Mu Bai and the 3 others arrived on time and rescued him, otherwise he almost died for the kingdom. They're courting death. She tossed the battle report back to Yun Tianqin with a rare cruelty in her expression. The people of Palyuo Kingdom sure planned well to even target her maternal grandfather and father. It completely stepped on her baseline and touched what was considered her reverse scale on a dragon that no one should touch too. Emperor Uncle, the 10 fallen cities are inseparable from the Gu clan colluding from inside with the outside. The imperial family hadn't dealt with the Gu clan for so long before. Are you still thinking about your old relationship with concubine Gu? She felt a surge of anger inwardly and her attitude towards Yun Tianqin was also a lot colder. Yun Tianqin immediately retorted with embarrassment. How could I have any feelings of an old relationship with concubine Gu? I've already discovered that something was wrong with the Gu clan, and after bringing her into the palace, the person who favored concubine Gu wasn't me at all, just a secret guard that I arranged who looks like me. On one hand he confessed it to appease Lu Muyen, and on the other hand it was also an explanation to Lu Emozi. Lu Muyen looked at him in surprise, not at all expecting that such a thing was occurring. One idiom meaning to fight desperately in the end until either the enemy's fish dies or they themselves die, net torn. To a reminder that Nilin means reverse scale or a scale that grew incorrectly. Figuratively, it's a scale on a dragon one cannot touch. It's also used to describe a person's weak point, but not necessarily used with a negative connotation, and instead in a more you touch, you die sense. It's usually used as a kind of threat. Chapter 331. By a hair's breadth Yun Tianqin was actually very distressed. Originally, everything was very secretive and perfect, yet who would have thought that so many sword monarch powerhouses would suddenly appear to destroy it all? Lu Muyen thought deeply then asked, Emperor Uncle, can the teleportation array in the palace be used to teleport to other cities? The teleportation array is mainly used to communicate with the outside. There's no direct teleportation point in the empire. Yun Tianqin sighed. Their Yanzhou kingdom was only a small kingdom in the eastern region. The arrangement of the teleportation array required a grade 4 array master to complete. The teleportation array in the imperial palace was all arranged by several grade 4 array masters from superpower kingdoms that they invited to come. Where did they have the power to set up teleportation arrays in other places? Lu Muyen furrowed her brows. It would be too troublesome to have no teleportation arrays. I'll arrange too. You prepare the resources. Yun Tianqin's eyes widened and it took a while for him to manage to say, you can set up teleportation arrays? He heard the news that Lu Muyen's array attainments were very high, but he absolutely couldn't believe that she could set up a teleportation array. Yeah. Lu Muyen nodded, took out a jade slip, copied a list of the required materials on it, then tossed it to Yun Tianqin. Emperor Uncle, can you find all these materials today? Although Yun Tianqin was very puzzled, but he also believed that she wouldn't joke about this kind of thing right now, so he checked it. Although these materials are precious, but we should be able to gather it together with the help of the imperial family and the distinguished clans today. It wasn't that Yanzhou Kingdom didn't want to build more teleportation arrays, but it was because they were just unable to invite those grade 4 array masters, so they had no choice. Now that Lu Muyen could do it, he would definitely do his best to gather the materials. It was also for the sake of the future. After Yun Tianqin hurriedly left, Sinan looked at Lu Muyen in surprise and asked, You've already advanced to grade 4 array master? Could it be that only a grade 4 array master can set up a teleportation array? Lu Muyen asked without answering. Sinan raised an eyebrow. You really hide deeply. Even a grade 4 array master may not be able to set up a teleportation array. You must be proficient in the path of arrays and comprehend some spatial laws. This woman's array attainments actually reached such a level, it truly was frightening. It's all right. Lu Muyen smiled humbly. The corners of Sinan's lips twitched. What did she mean by it's all right? It was obviously extremely amazing, all right? This woman had always hidden herself. If it wasn't for the fact that the kingdom was in danger, she probably wouldn't have exposed the strength of a grade 4 array master. Just how old was she? She actually had such capabilities. How could those grade 3 array masters that had been dedicated to arrays for decades bear this? By the way, don't go to the border with me for the time being. I'm afraid that those people will have a secret plan to attack the imperial capital. Lu Muyen thought for a bit then said. Sinan's peach blossom-shaped eyes narrowed slightly. I heard that there are many mysterious powerhouses on the border. It's too unsafe for you to go by yourself. He was called by Lu Muyen to participate in the war, but he didn't want to protect Yanzhou Palace. It was more exciting to go to the battlefield. I can rest assured with you guarding the imperial capital of Yanzhou Kingdom. After I go to set up the teleportation arrays, you can directly teleport over. Lu Muyen blinked and said. Sihan sighed and knew that Lu Muyen's concerns were right. All the people I brought will follow you to the battlefield. You leave 5 sword monarchs. They'll take the rest. Otherwise, if the sword masters of Paluo Kingdom attack the imperial capital, you won't be able to fight them alone. Lu Muyen said solemnly. With Gu Yuan Kai's sinister temperament, it was impossible for him to not bury any hidden dangers, so she felt more at ease by keeping Sinan here. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, alright, when you need me send me a message and I'll go. Sinan nodded. That afternoon Yun Tianchen had collected enough materials for 3 sets of arrays. Lu Muyen didn't delay and rode Bingji with the materials and rushed towards the frontier. Before leaving, she received a military token given by Yun Tianchen, so she set up a teleportation array in a city half distance from the imperial capital to the frontier, making it easier for future facilitation of support and to shorten the distance. After all, the speed of a Tier 8 demonic beast like Bingji wasn't available in Yanzhou Kingdom. Even for her, it took half a month to rush from the imperial capital to the border. As long as a teleportation array was set up in the 3 cities from the imperial capital to the border, when the time came, teleportation would be uninterrupted, and the reinforcements would only take a day to arrive, which was more conducive to war. 10 days later, Lu Muyen was about to go to the next city to set up a second teleportation array when she heard a rush of drumming just outside the city. Her gaze turned cold and she directed Bingji to fly over. Outside the city, 2 young men in moon-white armor held a long sword and fought bloody battles with 3 mysterious men in black cloaks. The cultivation bases of the 3 were all at peak phase sword monarch and they formed a seamless sword array. The 2 people surrounded by them were only at middle phase sword monarch cultivation base and it was already amazing to have resisted for so long. Lu Mu Ting now begged for mercy, open the gates and surrender, and this king will let you go. A big man with bare arms and tattoos said arrogantly with a big laugh. The white armor on the sword masters surrounded by the 3 men in black had already been stained red with blood. He raised his head and a face similar to Lu Muyen's was exposed in the air, but it was more resolute and handsome, not at all feminine. Left King Luo, I live and die with this city, what's there to fear of death? Lu Mu Ting's angular face was filled with ridicule. If the kingdom and family were all gone, as the deputy commander of the army, he definitely wouldn't continue to live. Humph, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The large man snorted coldly and instructed the 3 sword monarchs in black. Take the heads of the 2 of them and hang them on the top of the city wall when this king invades the city. Let that old man Lu Zhantian appreciate his grandson's head. His voice was bloodthirsty and excited, as if he had already seen Lu Zhantian and Lu Mo Yes utter pain and heartbreak. Brother Mu Shi, I'll lure them away, you leave first. Lu Mu Ting wiped the blood on his face with his hand, gasping as he approached the young man next to him and said. Lu Mu Zai's eyes revealed a bit of dejection and desolation. Mu Ting, well, live and die together. I won't run away. Go back and tell grandfather the situation here and let them make preparations early, otherwise it'll be too late when Paluo Kingdom troops arrive at the imperial capital. Lu Mu Ting said urgently. If anyone's to leave, it's you. I'll resist them for a while, you take the opportunity to go. Lu Mu, she said through gritted teeth. Kiki. One of the leaders of the 3 men in black burst out laughing strangely. You 2 boys don't make useless struggles. The 3 of us have had enough fun. You will all die. None of you should think of running away. Kiki. The other 2 also laughed weirdly, then immediately separated and surrounded them from 3 sides. Among them, the leader's eyes were scarlet. He concentrated the power from the other 2, poured all the black elemental energy into the long sword in his hand, and waved heavily towards the 2 of them. A huge black sword light rose up into the sky, with a pressuring energy that would be difficult for even a sword sovereign to resist. It fell down on top of the 2 of them after fainting in mid-air. No, General. The Yanzhou Kingdom soldiers standing on the city wall roared one after another, with lament in their voices. Was their general going to be killed like this? Was their kingdom about to be trampled by an enemy kingdom? Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mu Shi were both seriously injured. Seeing the black sword light falling, they couldn't escape and could only close their eyes in despair and wait for death to arrive. Go die. Suddenly, an ethereal and clear female voice penetrated the clouds and fell with a strong pressure, as if with dissatisfied anger that could destroy this world. Chapter 332. A visual feast. Lu Muyen was originally planning to bypass the city and set up a teleportation array closer to the border, but halfway through the journey, an indescribable palpitation lingered in her heart. That kind of feeling was very special, not because she would be in danger herself, but it was brought upon by a close person, and the only person who had that sort of intuitive feeling with her was Lu Muting. So she hurried towards the city, and when she approached, she heard the sound of the horn. That ominous feeling only grew worse. When Bingji hovered over the city, she looked down and saw that the entire city was shrouded in grief and anger. Outside the city, 2 men in white armor were not only besieged by 3 sword monarchs in black, but the leader also used a combined sword skill. That sword skill was something that even an ordinary initial phase sword sovereign would definitely be left injured by when encountered, not to mention that the targets were only 2 severely injured middle phase sword monarchs. And when Lu Muyan's gaze landed on that resolute face that appeared similar to hers, her heart trembled violently. Seeing that the men in black launched their strongest blow, the black sword aura landing above Lu Muting's head, her eyes turned scarlet and she roared angrily. Immediately, a huge golden sword light fell at the speed of thunder, passing through the clouds, instantly annihilating the black sword light. Lu Muting and Lu Mu, she felt that the killing intent suddenly disappear when the sword was about to reach their foreheads. When they opened their eyes, they saw the golden sword light annihilating the black sword shadow. Then, countless orange fire lotuses floated out from the beyond clouds. They splashed and dyed the entire blue sky in orange-red, dazzling and colorful. At this time, whether it was the soldiers of Yanzhou Kingdom standing on the city wall, or the enemy troops of Palyuo Kingdom, they all looked up and stared at the falling fire lotuses. Be careful. The leading pupils of the black-clothed sword monarch who was besieging the 2 constricted and a shadow of death quickly enveloped him. He only shouted those words before he was enveloped in blossoming orange lotus flowers. Ah! 3 shrill screams sounded in the air. Everyone's scalp was numb, and when they looked up, they saw that wherever the gorgeous, extravagant lotuses passed, except for Lu Muting and Lu Muxi, everything turned to ashes, paying homage to the blossoming of the lotuses. Lu Muyen stood on Bingji, waved her sleeves, and a soft wind roared out. The wind blew through the lotuses, and after a few whirls, the petals detached from the stamen, swaying as they fell down in the direction of Palyuo Kingdom. The floral rain-like landscape formed a beautiful scenery. What's this? The soldiers of Palyuo Kingdom looked at the colorful falling fire lotus petals in a stunned manner and were buried in the rain of flowers before they could even be shocked. The left King Luo and the 3 men in black at peak phase sword monarch reacted quickly, wielding their defensive magic tools to quickly avoid the petals. However, they were all still affected and also shrieked, but they didn't die and were only burned by the petals. Oh, just who is it? The left King Luo took out his long sword with a ferocious expression and quickly chopped off his left arm, which had been stained with petals, and shouted piercingly, "If you dare sneak attack, you dare appear." Who is it? Humph. With a cold huff, a huge cyan blue ice bird flew down from the clouds and a peerless and elegant purple-clothed woman stood atop of him. That's a nice one. A sword monarch beside left King Luo also cut off one of his arms, looking at the sudden appearance of the one person, one bird with a grim expression. The left King Luo was shocked, and his tone sounded as if he was grinding his teeth. That's Lu Muyen. Lu Muting, who was standing mid-air, looked at the light purple figure with a consonant heart. The anger and distress in her eyes were evident, and he hooked the corners of his lips up, his voice warm. "Little sister. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site." Thanks. Lu Muyen jumped off Bingji and landed beside the 2 of them. She supported the wobbling 2 and brought them back to the city wall. "Big brother?" Lu Muyen quickly checked Lu Muting's body and was relieved to find that there was no life-threatening injury except for excessive bleeding and some internal injuries. Him appearing to be covered in blood made her almost suffocate, and her concern caused her to feel slightly chaotic. "Little sister, I'm fine." Lu Muting hadn't seen Lu Muyen for a long time, and regardless of the blood on his body, he reached out to hug her. "Little sister's thinner." Lu Muyen rolled her eyes at him angrily. "You almost died, do you know? Why didn't you know to escape?" She believed that it was still possible to escape from the 3 sword monarchs with her elder brother's abilities. He still had the teleportation talisman she gave him. "Well, isn't it that little sister came down like a deity to save your elder brother?" Lu Muting's resolute face was filled with soft colors, then it was replaced by a touch of firmness. "I was sent by grandfather to guard this city, so naturally I live and die with the city, the soldiers and the citizens. I've already put my life and death aside, so how can I escape?" Lu Muyen sighed and didn't know what to say. She was actually cold by nature and only paid attention to the people she cared about. Now that she heard his passionate remarks, she couldn't help but be moved. Are you Muyen? The young man standing beside the two suddenly spat out a few words uncertainly. Earlier, Lu Muyen was too worried about Lu Muting, so she temporarily ignored this paternal elder cousin brother. With a dignified appearance, there was a soldier's perseverance in his bones, which quickly overlapped with a person in her mind. Big brother Mu Shi. She still attached great importance to these relatives who once took care of her. You're actually really Muyen. Lu Mu Shi put away the surprise in his eyes, reached out and patted Lu Muyen's head like he did when he was younger. Not only is the little girl more and more beautiful, but your strength has also opened our eyes. If Lu Muyen of the past saw today's scene, she may not have had stage fright, but it was absolutely impossible to have the current momentum. Now she was alluring and stunning, and her whole person glowed with a self-confidence and flamboyant temperament, exceptionally dazzling. It's young miss. It's young miss. A vice-general of a brigade on the city wall suddenly shouted excitedly. They were all the Lu clan soldiers, and had always felt contradicting emotions towards the young miss who turned from trash into a genius. After all, Lu Muyen had often lost the face of old general and general. But ever since she participated in the Tianling Continental Tournament for hegemony, not only did she wash away the name of trash, but she also won the championship, making them proud. Just now, when they watched their two young generals about to be beheaded by the enemy army, they were helpless and felt desolate and desperate. They waited for death to accompany the two young generals, dying to protect the city. Yet who knew that their young miss would arrive like a deity of war, instantly blocking the momentous black sword aura and killing 3 peak phase sword monarchs. Especially after the visual feast just now of the falling fire lotuses that wiped out most of the enemy sword masters who were approaching the city, their admiration for her was exceptionally high. Mighty young miss. Mighty young miss. Someone took the lead and the soldiers and citizens who had just survived with their lives shouted frantically. Lu Muyen's heart was slightly touched. She turned her head and glanced at those eyes of adoration and passion, and trembled again. She came to the battlefield to support only because of her family, and didn't think about other things. But now that she looked at his soldiers and citizens, and their warm eyes and shouts, her deserted heart couldn't help but be cast with some ripples. Then she turned her head and looked at the enemy generals not far away. The killing intent in her eyes were strong. These invaders burned, killed, looted, and committed all kinds of evil, and now they dared to touch her elder brother's head, truly courting death. I'm going to clean up those flies first and then well catch up. Chapter 333, Frontier Chaos. After Lu Muyen finished speaking with Lu Muting and Lu Mushi, she tapped her toes and flew out of the city wall. The left King Luo and the others were shocked, and all took out their magic tools to kill her. Whose head did you want to hang on the top of the city wall earlier? Lu Muyen looked at the left King Luo sharply, coldly. She sure didn't forget that just now, this man ordered her elder brother's head to be cut off and hung on the city wall to let her grandpa and father suffer the bereaving pain of losing their son and having white-haired people send off black-haired people one. How could she let him succeed? Her favorite thing to do was to retaliate against others with what they had done to her. Left King Lao's cultivation base was also at peak phase sword monarch, but the momentum was much weaker than Lu Muyen's. Stared at by her grim eyes, he only felt shivers all over his body. What if it is this king? Even if he was afraid as the main general, he couldn't weaken his own momentum, but he was more cautious. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. I didn't expect you to have a little bit of manliness. Left King Luo was stunned for a moment, then was about to breathe a sigh of relief inwardly. But who knew he would then hear her say, but your life wouldn't remain for long. When your head is hung on the city wall, this miss will definitely spread your glorious deeds and let the Paluo Kingdom royalty be proud of you. You push people too much. When did he, the left King Luo, suffer this kind of humiliation, not to mention that the other party was still a young girl? But he was still rather afraid of the power of her fire lotus, so he gave a look to some people around him. Lu Muyen looked at him with ridicule, and with a thought, a golden sword shadow emerged from the void behind in the air, carrying a stronger pressure and power than the previous black sword. Seeing this, the left King Luo and several others resorted to defensive magic tools to resist, then fled in different directions. Although they were arrogant, but what was arrogance when they wanted their lives? They were not fools like Lu Muting and Lu Mushi who would sacrifice their lives for the grudges of the clan and kingdom. The palpitations of death that came from the golden sword made them completely give up their resistance and just wanted to escape. But Lu Muyen naturally wouldn't let them succeed. With a snap of her fingers, the golden vines with its sharp thorns underground emerged and quickly wrapped around the ankles of the fleeing people. Immediately after a strong pull, the several people smashed into the ground one by one, and golden vines instantly enveloped the several people's bodies. Ah! The screams gradually weakened, and finally dissipated in the sky with the wind and their auras of life. After the golden vines receded, only a few corpses were left behind that had been drained of blood essence, not knowing how they even died. Lu Muyen narrowed her eyes and said to Bingji, "Go and chop off their heads and hang them on the wall." Bingji looked at the mummified corpses with disgust and said, aggrieved, "Owner, why am I doing this kind of thing again? If you can get Miao Miao and Mo Yen to do it, then I don't mind them helping you." Lu Muyen glanced at him. Bingji instantly released his small eyes to ask for help, but Miao Miao just directly pretended to be dead and wrapped around Lu Muyen's wrist tightly, not looking at him, while Mo Yen just raised his head and replied lazily with one look that said, "If you don't want to die, get to work quickly." Xue Xue had long returned to Lu Muyen's other wrist to digest the blood essence that he had just absorbed. Bingji found that among the several spirit pets, although his cultivation base was the highest, but all of them were bigger masters than him, and most importantly, he couldn't even provoke any of them. The last time he had a fight with Miao Miao and Xue Xue, he didn't expect that he was actually the one most injured. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. As the descendant of a Saiyan Luan at that time, he just wanted to find a hole and bury himself in it. Since then, he had never dared to slacken his cultivation, otherwise he would definitely be the one to do all the hard work in the future. He was even more in awe of Mo Yen, the boss, and didn't dare to provoke him at all. They all knew that Boss Missouri was a more ruthless character than Owner, and if he provoked him, even if he didn't die, he would definitely lose a layer of skin. So Bingji swept his gaze around and found that there were no people or demonic beasts who could help. He could only walk forward bitterly and cut off the heads of the several people and hang them on the city wall. When Lu Muyen returned to the city wall again, the whole city was boiling with exhilaration and they cheered, "Mighty young miss! Strongest young miss! Little sister, you're really mighty and extraordinary now." Lu Mu Ting's face that was similar to Lu Muyen's was filled with smiles. His little sister's current achievements and strength made him proud. However, after what happened recently, a sense of crisis also developed in his heart, and his desire to become stronger only grew. He couldn't hide under the protection of his little sister, and he secretly decided inwardly that he would make a breakthrough on his own and provide little sister a strong background and support in the future. Lu Muyen glared at him, "Why aren't you and big brother Mushi bandaging your wounds now?" It was only then that Lu Mu Ting and Lu Mushi remembered the injuries on them. "It's not a big problem with this little skin-deep injury. I've got some wound medicine on me, you two go and apply it quickly." Lu Muyen took out a few boxes of ointment and stuffed it to the two of them. An hour later, Lu Mu Ting brought Lu Muyen to the city lord's mansion to talk. "Little sister, why did you come here?" Lu Mu Ting cleaned himself, and after applying Lu Muyen's ointment, the wounds on his body were all healed. Lu Muyen said, "I was going to rush to the frontier, but there was a certain feeling that led me to come here. I think it must be the feeling between us siblings. They were dragon and phoenix babies too, and so they both had a spiritual connection with each other. That's true. Before, when I felt as if I was going to die, the first thing that popped into mind was your figure." Lu Mu Ting smiled lightly. "Who knew that you would then arrive like a deity and rescue us? Just keep being cheeky." Lu Muyen looked at him in amusement, thought a bit, then asked, "Big brother, how is the recent battle?" As she came, she heard that another city had fallen. The situation at the frontier guarded by grandfather and the others weren't optimistic. The enemy came violently and uses a lot of aggressive tactics. The Chang Kingdom in the west has already united with the Palyuo Kingdom. They were the ones that occupied the city that was captured 2 days ago. Lu Mu Ting clenched his hands and said with regret, "No one wanted to see their own kingdom's land being violently occupied by people from other kingdoms. The destruction of a kingdom and its families were the things one was most unwilling to see and face." Chang Kingdom? Is that the kingdom famous for controlling beasts? Lu Muyen furrowed her brows. The Chang Kingdom was also a small kingdom in the eastern region. It was sparsely populated, but it was very mysterious. It was said that half of the people in the kingdom could control demonic beasts to attack. And their beast taming was different to the contracts of spirit beast masters. They used a secret skill to directly control demonic beasts. Yes, the city that fell 2 days ago was captured with the help of demonic beasts. Lu Mu Ting sighed. According to the battle report, the Chang Kingdom's combat power isn't weaker than that of the Palyuo Kingdom. They had long allied with Paluo Kingdom secretly and planned to invade. It seems that their target isn't just us Yenzhou. I always had a feeling that there are some ulterior motives hidden behind them. Lu Muyen tapped the table lightly with her finger, and her willow brows furrowed. One basically for old people, white-haired, to have their descendants, black hair, die. Two just another term for twins but specifically one girl one boy. Chapter 334. Arrived just on time. Lu Muyen arranged a teleportation array in the city and a 7-star killing array outside the city. After all the arrays were arranged, Lu Muyen handed a palm-sized array flag and a bag of spiritual stones to Lu Muting. Big brother, activating this killing array needs to consume spiritual stones, and you need to replace it every 3 times. Lu Muting put away the things with a proud look on his face. I didn't expect my little sister to be so accomplished in arrays. Yup. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow and smiled, saying, Big brother, if there's an enemy attack in the future, you can just hide in the array and use the communication talisman to ask for reinforcements. Don't go out to fight to your death. Alright, don't worry, we won't be as impulsive as last time. Lu Muting hugged Lu Muyen. Little sister, you also have to be very careful yourself. They can attempt to assassinate you once, there may be a second time, third time. I will. Lu Muyen nodded. But inwardly, she'd rather these people who were seeking death to come and assassinate her. After chatting with Lu Muting and Lu Muxi, Lu Muyen set foot on the road to the last city on the border under the expectant and proud eyes of the generals of Yenzhou Kingdom. The places she passed were deserted and the citizens were all displaced. Although there were sword master armies organized by her grandfather protecting them up south, but there was no way to save every single person. 5 days later, she arrived at the frontier where the Paluo Kingdom was, which was also the largest city on the border of Yenzhou Kingdom, and where her grandfather and the others were guarding. She stood on Bingji and flew close to the city when she heard the sound of battles and roars of demonic beasts not far away. She narrowed her eyes. It seemed that she happened to encounter a melee between the two kingdoms again. The plain outside the city was filled with people, from soldiers as small as sword apprentices to those captains at sword monarch level, all fighting. Lu Zhantian rode a crimson tiger and wielded a sledgehammer to fight against the opponent's general. Both were sword monarchs and they fought on the same level. Lu Zhantian and Lu Mou both reached the bottleneck of Sword King before, and after taking the pills refined by Lu Muyen, they broke through to Sword Monarch one after another. Lu Zhantian, today this king will let you and the Lu clan's army be buried here. The enemy general sneered. Right, King Luo, you dare to say such arrogant words. Lu Zhantian laughed disdainfully. Didn't left King Luo want to behead my grandson and hang his head on the wall before? In the end, didn't his own head end up being hung on the wall? Don't compare this king with that trash. The right King Luo and left King Luo had always been at odds. He was good at scheming while the left King Luo liked battles. The news that the left King Luo's head was hung on the wall by Lu Muyen had already spread, but he actually felt that it was fortunate. That reckless man often opposed him, and his cultivation base was also higher than him. Now that he was dead, his status in the royal court also advanced a lot. People have to have knowledge of one's own limitations. Lu Zhantian looked at the right King Luo with a half-smile. Although Lu Zhantian laughed indifferently, but there was a faint uneasiness in his heart. In the past, the mysterious black-clothed men would appear in the battle, but today was too calm. Suddenly, a roar of demonic beasts sounded, and a large army of demonic beasts appeared from the rear of Paluo Kingdom, all rushing towards the army of Yenzhou Kingdom. Many soldiers who were still fighting in front were bitten by the demonic beasts and swallowed into their stomachs before they could even react. Ha, old man, those that laugh at the end are the winners. Seeing that the reinforcements had arrived, the right King Luo quickly retreated into the army on the mount he was on. Lu Zhantian and Lu Mou watched as waves of demonic beasts appeared in their line of sight opposite, and their calm faces revealed solemnity and shock. Quickly go back to the city. Lu Zhantian saw that the Chang Kingdom had ultimately come, and the current situation wasn't favorable for Yenzhou, so he immediately had people blow the horn to withdraw the army. Hearing the horn, the other soldiers quickly retreated in the direction of the city. Yet who knew that there would be another burst of roars of demonic beasts from the sky, and flying demonic beasts rushed down from the sky fiercely one after the other. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks atop the demonic beasts were teams of enemy soldiers who immediately took advantage of their superiority in the sky to occupy the city wall. Meanwhile there were more and more demonic beasts surrounding them, along with sword masters from both kingdoms rushing towards Lu Zhantian and the others. Seeing the embattled scene, Lu Mo's expression changed. Father, what should we do now? Right? The other generals also looked at the mighty and extraordinary marshal on the blood tiger, but their mood was a little low at this time. Although most of those demonic beasts were tier 2 or 3, but their weaknesses were also compensated by their numbers. Most of their soldiers' cultivation bases were great sword master. It was still possible for them to win against a few, but if they were besieged by a group of ferocious demonic beasts, they would surely die. Lu Zhantian closed his eyes. So this day had still arrived? Since the beginning of the sudden war, he and his son hurried to the frontier, but found that many people in the army were bought by Guyuan Kai's people. Although the Lu clan's army were invincible, but the disparity in numbers couldn't be mended. The enemy had many high-level sword masters with a variety of tricks, and now they had even united with the mysterious Chang kingdom, which was famous for their beast taming. 2 fists lost to 4 hands, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of grief and anger in his heart. Today, whether it was to fight or to stay in the city, they still couldn't escape the opponent's arrangement. After all, flying-type demonic beasts were too rare, and the Yanzhou kingdom simply didn't have the strength to form such an army. And Lu Mubai and the other 3 were entangled in the distance by 5 strong sword sovereign powerhouses from the enemy army, and they couldn't get away to come help either. Let's sprint towards the southeast together, we must cut open a bloody path. Lu Zhantian swung his sledgehammer to the southeast and shouted. No matter what, they couldn't give up. Even if they lost the city, they would still have a chance to retaliate. Charge! When Lu Muyen arrived, Lu Zhantian and the others were leading the army to charge towards the southeast again and again. It was just that the combat power of the Paluo kingdom was stronger than Yanzhou kingdom to begin with, plus the participation of the army of demonic beasts from the Chang kingdom, so based on number alone, there was 10 times more. Not to mention that the sword masters of their opponents were generally more powerful than them. Therefore, the waves of soldiers who charged up were all either eaten by demonic beasts or killed by enemy sword masters in only a short amount of time, and it was difficult to even open a gap and rush out. Owner, should we go? Seeing such arrogance in the tier 2 and 3 demonic beasts below, Bing Ji huffed coldly. These little grasshoppers sure are jumping too hard. You can all go. I want all the enemy troops from the 2 kingdoms to disappear in 2 hours. Lu Muyen nodded and instructed. The preparations that the other party had planned for a decade were indeed too sufficient, and it wasn't something that the reactive Yanzhou kingdom could compare to. Even if her grandfather was a god of war, but in the face of absolute strength, strategy had become secondary. She clenched her hands into fists, took a breath and closed her eyes. If she was still in the competition space or if she didn't come in time, then what would be in front of her in the future? Would it be the corpses of her family in the Lu clan? No, it couldn't be like that. Yanzhou kingdom right now could not only not become the Lu clan's protective umbrella, but actually needed the Lu clan's best protection. She needed to establish a powerful force so that no one dared to trample on the Lu clan from here onwards on Tianling continent. Roar roar. There were several cries in the sky with the pressure of royal demonic beasts. The demonic beasts under the control of the Chang clan were all filled with horror and all trembled on the ground. This was the pressure of differing cultivation bases and the royal race's bloodline. Chapter 335. Support from various kingdoms. Bing Ji spread his wings and flew down. As soon as he landed on the top of the city wall, icicles flew out from his wings one after the other. Hundreds of flying-type demonic beasts from the enemy kingdom didn't even have time to react, and they were all frozen to death along with the sword masters on them. Golden seeds fell one by one and golden vines with thorns grew everywhere in an instant. The sword masters and demonic beasts besieging from 3 sides were all entangled by the vines, and it didn't take long for their blood essence to be sucked dry. They couldn't be any more dead. Miao Miao and Mo Yen watched Shui Shui and Bing Ji without acting. Those 2 were indeed suitable for group battles. An hour later, all the enemy troops except for a few leaders were wiped out by Shui Shui and Bing Ji. Lu Muyan's spirit pets are actually this powerful. The right King Luo looked at the 2 demonic beasts who had swept the battlefield clean in disbelief. The army dispatched this time were all sword masters under his command, but he didn't expect the result to be a complete annihilation like left King Luo. A woman wearing a veil with a bell hanging from her hands and feet spurted a mouthful of blood beside him, and the white veil was instantly stained red with blood. There was a glint of grimness in her eyes, and she released a tier 6 flying demonic beast that she had contracted, grabbed the right King Luo and 2 others to flee into the distance. Holy daughter, we're just going to escape like this? The right King Luo asked in embarrassment. The woman changed her veil and snorted coldly. If we don't escape, then do you want to wait to die? Didn't you see that Lu Muyan's Ice Luan divine beast is a tier 8 demonic beast? What tier 8? The right King Luo's eyes widened. Impossible. I can feel that his aura is the same as that of the human-eating bloodthorn vine king, both tier 7. He hid his aura. The woman took out a pill and ate it. The right King Luo was shocked. Then what should we do? If it's really a tier 8 Ice Luan, then with just one of her spirit pets she can crush us. You go back and quickly report this to the national teacher of Paluo, let him take control of the tier 8 Ice Luan, and kill Lu Muyan as originally planned. The holy daughter of the Chang kingdom sure had never suffered such a loss. All the demonic beasts she controlled were killed, and she was also backlashed, suffering severe internal injuries. This debt would definitely be settled with Lu Muyan in the future. Lu Muyan didn't ask Bing Ji to hunt down the few people. She waited for the mastermind behind the scenes to surface. Only after resolving the hidden danger could she rest assured when she left for the sect. Originally, the army was about to be crushed on 3 sides, yet who knew that Lu Muyan would kill the enemies with only her own power? This made the generals and soldiers of Yanzhou Kingdom admit that she was truly too strong after surviving this disaster. The news that she had cut off the left King Luo's head and hung it on the city wall lifted the morals of the army. At this time, her feat of destroying the entire army made the soldiers of Yanzhou Kingdom admire her extremely. Grandpa, Dad, eldest uncle. With a flash, Lu Muyan landed beside them and addressed. Good. My family's yener actually grew to this point, I'm very relieved. Lu Zhantian couldn't resist laughing and he simply couldn't express the shock and joy in his heart. A soft smile appeared on Lu Mo's gentle face. It's all thanks to yener today, otherwise we would face the consequence of the annihilation of the entire army. Dad, Mou, let's go back to the city and talk to yener. Lu Mo Zhou, who was beside them, also breathed a sigh of relief. Yes. The whole army will return to the city to prepare for battle. After returning to the city, Lu Muyan, Lu Zhantian and the others discussed their strategies against the enemies after catching up with each other, then she began to set up a teleportation array. The next day, Lu Zhantian received news that the 5 kingdoms around Yanzhou were actually persuaded by the national teacher of Paluo Kingdom to form an alliance to fight against Yanzhou Kingdom. On the 3rd day, the 7 Nations Alliance was formed and the army pressed in from all directions. At the same time, 6 sword sovereigns and 20 sword monarch powerhouses were sent to assist on the battlefield. But although the opponent was an army formed from the 7 Kingdoms Alliance, with large numbers of troops, but when the soldiers approached, more than 1/3 were trapped and killed by the array Lu Muyan arranged, making the superiors of the 7 Kingdoms angry and terrified. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks in the end, the national teacher of Paluo Kingdom led a team of mysterious men in black to handle the battlefield. On this day, Lu Muyan received an invitation to battle from the national teacher of Paluo Kingdom. Yener, could this be a scheme? Lu Mou asked cautiously. Those people had tried to assassinate his children numerous times. Although this time it looked like an open battle, but who knew if the other party would use any despicable means? Lu Muyan played with the battle invitation and smiled. It doesn't matter anymore. Since he sent himself to my door, for what reason should I not go? She didn't have much time to remain in this secular world and needed to end the war as soon as possible. Yener, according to your opinion, should we accept this battle invitation? Lu Zhantian asked after thinking for a bit. Of course. Grandpa and everyone, don't worry, I have my own plans. Seeing the confidence on Lu Muyan's face, Lu Zhantian and the others could only cut off all means of retreat and fight to the end. Otherwise, if the 7 Kingdoms Alliance won this battle, Yanzhou wouldn't be far from being destroyed. The next day, Lu Muyan went out of the city with the people who were to fight. The leader of the other party was a young man in black. Lu Muyan, I didn't expect that although you're young, you would be so courageous. The leading man in black could only be regarded as delicate in appearance, with even a hint of femininity. His voice was low and hoarse, which sounded very contradictory with his appearance. Lu Muyan chuckled with a bit of ridicule on her face. If you want to fight, then fight, why are you rambling on? Humph, what a big tone. Today, I'll let you experience that there's always a mountain beyond a mountain and people beyond other people. The man in black snorted coldly and waved to the people behind him. The sword sovereign and sword monarchs behind him leapt to the center and looked at Lu Muyan and the others provocatively. Lu Mu Bai and the others behind Lu Muyan flew out in unison and soon the 2 sides fought. The man in black teleported behind Lu Muyan, stretched out an extremely pale hand, wanting to penetrate her chest directly. A faint orange light appeared on Lu Muyan's body, and she didn't dodge it. As soon as his hand touched the orange light, a black mist rose. Devil cultivator. Lu Muyen took a step back and narrowed her eyes. Kiki. I didn't expect you to be able to know my secret in just a single round of battle at such a young age. I can't leave you alive today. The man's expression changed and a layer of black aura rose from him. The monarch of Paluo Kingdom and the other 7 kingdoms monarchs were also watching the battle not far away. When they saw that the national teacher was shrouded in a cloud of black mist, they were stunned, but they didn't think much about it. As long as they could win, it didn't matter what methods the national teacher cultivated. Do you think we'll win this time? The monarch of Paluo Kingdom asked with a grim expression. His heart was beating suddenly and he just felt that something bad would happen. The clan leader of the Chang Kingdom had a hint of disdain in his eyes. If we all lose even in such a situation, then there's no need to return. The several other people also smiled and catered to them. For this battle, they mobilized the elites of their kingdom. Even if Lu Muyan's group fought well, they were still sure to win. Just as the several people pledged in all sincerity to begin discussing how to divide up Yanzhou Kingdom, sudden urgent reports came one after another. Report: all the elites in ambush in the east were annihilated by reinforcements from Rongzi Kingdom. Report: all the elites in ambush in the west were annihilated by reinforcements from the Yi clan and Ling clan. Report: all the elites in ambush in the north. Battle reports kept coming and the expressions of the 7 kingdoms monarchs were only terror and helplessness in addition to turning pale with fright. They no longer had the confidence and assurance they had before. How is this possible? The clan leader of the Chang clan picked up the battle report, trembling, and looked at it again and again. How come there are so many elites from the superpower kingdoms to support a small kingdom like Yanzhou? Chapter 336. Annexation of the 7 kingdoms. After the monarchs of the 7 kingdoms heard that all the elite troops they had arranged in the north, south, east and west were all wiped out by Yanzhou reinforcements from superpower kingdoms, their hearts were as if it were cut by a knife, and they couldn't help trembling. All their eyes turned to the national teacher of Paluo and Lu Muyen who were fighting in mid-air. When they heard Yanjun, Luoli and such names, they immediately knew that these reinforcements were called by Lu Muyen and had nothing to do with Yanzhou Kingdom. When the national teacher killed her, they might still have room to turn the situation around. After all, there was no need for the proud children of heaven from superpower kingdoms to intervene in the wars of several small kingdoms. Lu Muyen and the black-clothed man fought together, yet who knew that after only a few dozen rounds, the black-clothed man turned his head and fled towards the woods in the north. Lu Muyen narrowed her eyes, knowing there was a trap, but still chased after him. Today all the rats in the gutter must be removed, otherwise she would be too worried about the Lu clan after going to the sect. As soon as she entered the forest, the whole scenery suddenly changed. A gorgeous woman in white stood on a high mountain, the gentle wind brushed past her cheeks, her long black hair fluttered with the breeze, and she was filled with youth. Immediately she took out her long sword and danced on the top of the mountain. Not long after, a white-haired elderly man suddenly appeared on the top of the mountain, watching her dance with her sword with a gentle, loving expression. Lu Muyan's pupils constricted, and there was a sense of sadness and desolation in her heart. The white-clothed woman in the scene was precisely her in her previous life, and the elderly man with white hair was the master who took care of her for numerous years and whom passed down his legacy to her. And as she was immersed in the painting of the scene, 8 men in black suddenly appeared in the surrounding woods quietly. They held a piece of black jade each and embedded it into the ground. Then the national teacher flashed out, spat out blood essence on a black jade, and buried it in the ground as well. In an instant thick black mist emerged from the entire mountain forest and the black jades in the ground formed a 9-palace force. The pendant on Lu Muyan's neck moved, and the soul shrouded in black mist stood up. Lu Muyan, they arranged a 9-palace killing array, but you still have time to leisurely play the game of cat-catch-mouse? His voice came out leisurely. A sneer rose on Lu Muyan's lips and her originally dull eyes grew very clear. I originally wanted to spend more time playing with them, but now that you've said it, I've lost interest. As soon as she stepped into this place, she discovered it was an illusion array. She was indeed touched as she watched her past self and her master, but she immediately curbed her emotions. She just wanted to see what the so-called national teacher would do. They added a strong devilish energy to this formation. Aren't you afraid you'll be demonized? Lu Muyen smiled indifferently. With just this incomplete 9-palace killing array and they want to demonize me? I don't know if you think too highly of them or too little of me. Let's hear the purpose of your sudden appearance. She didn't believe that this sinister and cunning man would come out and speak at this time. That devil cultivator is a huge supplement for me. I want him. The man didn't hide it either and went straight to the point. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow. Why? What will you exchange for it? Don't forget they're currently my prey. The man gritted his teeth, this cunning woman. After a moment of silence he said, you can raise a condition. As long as the souls of these 9 people were devoured and refined, his unstable soul could be condensed. I want to know your true details. Lu Muyan's tone was sharp. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks towards this devil cultivator ghost of an unknown origin, she still planned to investigate his details properly before deciding how to cooperate with him. After all, this was an unstable factor that could explode at any time. The other party was silent for a bit. All right. If Lu Muyen was a person worthy of continual cooperation, then it didn't matter if he revealed his true identity. After all, he didn't feel any disgust for devil cultivators from her. What he maintained right now was the main soul of the 3 souls, and the 7 spirits were also in the original Boda Soul 1, but to find and fuse the other 2 souls, he still needed the help of Lu Muyan's external force. But you must swear by your heart demon before you explain, Lu Muyen emphasized. The corner of the man's lips twitched. He just knew that this woman wasn't that easy to fool and said angrily, all right. Can I swallow them now? Lu Muyen nodded this time. Go. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw a black smoke come out of the pendant around her neck, and when it swept across, not only was the demonic aura within the 9 palace killing array completely absorbed, it even swept away the 9 people who couldn't escape in time into the black fog. The devilish energy in the array disappeared, but the array still remained. As a great array master, Lu Muyen found the flaw of the array at only a glance. As soon as her golden sword appeared, the array was broken. Then the black mist turned into a puff of black smoke and entered the pendant. Lu Muyen thought a bit, then said, when you refine it, include their memories. I want to know why they attacked Yanzhou Kingdom. The national teacher's cultivation base was already its sword sovereign, and he was a devil cultivator that most sword masters on Tianling continent wanted dead. He mustn't have instigated the 7 kingdoms to attack Yanzhou Kingdom for reasons such as dominating secular kingdoms. Maybe there was something in Yanzhou Kingdom they must occupy. All right. After Lu Muyen broke the array, she returned to the battlefield. At this time, Luo Li and the others had already captured the fleeing 7 kingdoms monarchs alive. Muyen. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that she had returned safely. Lu Muyen thanked Luo Li, Yanjun, Helian Lai, Jixian, Yiqing Han, and Mo Ling with a warm expression. After the war, she only asked Si Nan to help, but didn't tell these several people. They all came to help the war consciously after receiving the news that Yanzhou Kingdom had been invaded. And the reason why Luo Li and the others came so quickly was also because of the teleportation array she had arranged. In addition, because of their support and the backing of the superpower kingdoms, the war quickly ended. The surrounding 7 kingdoms alliance was not only completely disbanded, but also taken over by Yanzhou Kingdom, and they consciously delivered themselves to be annexed by Yanzhou and expand its strength. Because of the interference of the several superpower kingdoms, the other small and medium-sized kingdoms didn't dare to object at all. They didn't want to follow in the footsteps of the 7 kingdoms. Most importantly, there was a Lu Muyen in Yanzhou Kingdom who had a good relationship with the imperial families of superpower kingdoms or with elite pupils heavily prized by distinguished clans. They didn't dare to have any more delusions. Instead, they silently prayed that Yanzhou Kingdom better not have ideas for them, so they sent messengers to congratulate. Of course, this was all what happened later. The fact that Luo Li and the others came to support the war also made many people who belittled Lu Muyen put out their arrogance, and she also successfully entered the attention of several major forces. As soon as the war was over, Luo Li and the others left without delay. After all, it was almost time to enter their sects and they still needed to go back and prepare. Lu Muyen also didn't say many words of gratitude. She always liked to keep favors or grudges in her heart, repaying those that should be repaid and kill those that should be killed. Before they left, she stuffed each of them many grade 3 pills as repayment, and Luo Li and the others also didn't refuse. Although they didn't think about wanting her to repay them when they came, but they wouldn't give up her kindness either. Not to mention, the pills she gave them were indeed treasures that they couldn't buy even with spiritual stones. One so in Taoism or Taoism, what I've been translating as the path or the great path, but realized maybe I could have just stuck with Taoism, but whatever. It is believed the soul is made up of 3 main souls and 7 spirits, the 3 Hun and 7 Pa, which make up the Hun Pa, also translated as soul. Won't go into detail, but you can search it up for more info. Chapter 337. The clan strengthening plan. Before leaving, as soon as the war on the frontier ended, Lu Muyen followed Lu Zhantian and the others back to the imperial capital. After her return, she was also warmly welcomed by the citizens of the imperial capital, and many younger sword masters took her as their role model and object of worship. Many ordinary people who were innately unable to cultivate were also inspired by her deeds, and they were seeking various ways to become powerhouses in numerous attempts. Yanzhou Kingdom began waves after waves of cultivation frenzy. After returning to the Lu clan, Lu Muyen locked herself in the secret room. No one knew what she was doing, and she only came out when the days for the sect to come to pick her up were arriving. On this day she called Lu Zhantian, Lu Mou and her two elder brothers to talk in the secret room. Her first paternal uncle and second paternal uncle's family were still at the frontier to deal with the aftermath of the battlefield, and they hadn't returned yet. "Yenner, do you have something to tell us?" Lu Mou asked with a gentle smile. With a thought from Lu Muyen, white porcelain vases filled the table. I do have something to tell you all. These are grade 2 and grade 3 pills I refined in the last month. Among them, there are pills that are long been extinct on Tianling continent, but female sword masters would definitely be moved by them. What kind of pills are specifically aimed at female sword masters? Could it be those that can increase their beauty? Lu Mutong's mind was more flexible, and as soon as Lu Muyen said it, he reacted. Lu Muyen picked up a bottle of pill and poured one into the palm of her hand. The crystal white pill wasn't only full and attractive, but also exuded an elegant pill fragrance. This is called the beauty-enhancing pill. Long-term use can not only improve one's beauty and appearance, but also make sword masters who take the pill gradually look younger. But it needs to be taken long-term to be effective and to maintain. The several people revealed shock in their eyes. Although this pill needed to be taken long-term, but it definitely would attract the madness of those female sword masters who loved beauty. After all, in this world there were few people who didn't like beauty. Even many men would be tempted. What are you refining these pills for? Do you want to sell them? Lu Mou asked, tapping on the table. Now that the Yanzhou Kingdom has opened up its territory and has become a large second-rank kingdom in the eastern region, the Lu clan is bound to rise with the tide, and it would be a waste not to use this advantage to establish our own power. In addition to the beauty-enhancing pill, the pills I've refined also include those for progressing one's cultivation base, treating injuries, and those for nourishing the meridians and more. Our Lu clan can open a pill shop, specializing in selling these rare pills on the market. At the time, not only will we be able to accumulate funds for cultivating forces, but we can also expand the interpersonal networks for the Lu clan. Lu Muyen said with a smile. Lu Zhantian rubbed his gray beard and asked, "But when these pills sell out, what will we do?" "These pills are sold in a limited quantity and time. It should be able to sell for a period of time. When it's almost sold out, I'll refine a batch of high-level pills and send Bingji to the Lu clan to continue selling. As for the grade 1 and 2 pills, I won't refine them. We can slowly recruit a few grade 2 or 3 alchemists to be the Lu clan's guests." Lu Muyen explained. After she goes to the sect, it would be impossible for her to return to the Lu clan often, but she had Bingji, this flying spirit pet, so she could solve the problem of a lack of pills. But grade 2 and grade 3 alchemists on Tianling continent are extremely proud. We can invite a few guests with high prices and great resources, but they will definitely not be willing to refine so many pills for sale. Lu Mou thought about it and said what he considered improper. "We can leave this to second brother. I believe that he can definitely be able to dig up guests who's loyal to the Lu clan, but won't steal or shirk work and responsibility." Lu Muyen smiled and blinked at Lu Muting, "And if those guests are willing to make pills for the Lu clan, I will also give some grade 3 pills as rewards, and I won't treat them badly in terms of resources. I believe that there will definitely be alchemists who will take the initiative to send themselves to our door." Lu Muting rolled his eyes at her and his eyes were filled with pampering. "Don't worry, leave the matter of recruiting alchemists for the Lu clan to me. It's said that the ordinary man is innocent, but they are guilty if they hold a precious stone one. If we open a pill shop, will it attract the attention and coveting of some major forces? After all, the overall strength of our Lu clan is still too weak." Lu Mou saw it more deeply. Although he was very optimistic about this idea from his daughter, but he was afraid that the pill shop would also bring disaster to the Lu clan. He wasn't afraid to bear the calamity, but he was afraid that the entire clan would be implicated at that time, and if that occurred, they'd be sinners. "Don't worry, Daddy, I've already resolved that." Lu Muyen gave them a reassuring look. Half a month ago, she had already sent news to Ming Xiu. By that time she would just pull out the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, that big Buddha too, to be the banner 3 of the Lu clan. After all, with her and Ming Xiu's current relationship, There wasn't a need to be polite. Moreover, she didn't hold the banner in vain. When the time came, they would give 20% of the share from the pills to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance. Yesterday, Ming Xiao sent back news and agreed to this matter, but only wanted 10% of the profit. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. How did you resolve it? Lu Zhantian and the others were very curious. Lu Muyen chuckled cheekily and said, I pulled the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance into the water with us, so we can use their name in the future to open the shop, and I'll give them 10% of the profit as pay. Lu Mou and the others were surprised when they heard her say this, then they all revealed joy. If the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance joined, then they believed that even the top forces of the continent would have to weigh their plans for the Lu clan first. After they agreed, both the two in charge of the Lu clan agreed to Lu Muyan's proposal to open a pill shop to build a powerful force for the Lu clan. Lu Muyan, this junior, thought all for the sake of the Lu clan, so how could they, as seniors, hold her back? They must create a strong maternal family for her. Seeing that their family was getting more and more excited, Lu Muting took the opportunity to put forward his plan. Grandpa, Dad, I want to go out to train a bit and form a mercenary party along the way. What? Form a mercenary party? Lu Zhantian furrowed his brows. Mercenaries were a very dangerous profession on this continent. Of course, among the top forces in the continent, aside from the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, the Pill Tower and the Smithing Pavilion, the Mercenary Union were also a top force on this continent. Yes. I don't like to be restrained, but I also want to create my own world. After thinking about it, being a mercenary party leader is more suitable for me. Lu Muting shrugged. He used to be lazy on cultivating, but after this war, he saw the efforts of his elder brother and little sister that they exerted to protect the Lu clan. His precious little sister had grown up so fast, so how could he fall far behind? He also hoped that in the future he could hold up a portion of the sky for his little sister that he pampered in his palm. Even if she didn't need anyone to take her beneath their wings, he would still firmly protect her and guard the Lu clan. I support second big brother's proposal. Lu Muyin agreed after pondering. She and Lu Mubei's talents were excellent, and Lu Muting, who was her twin, was also not to be outdone. It was just that he usually neglected cultivating, and also deliberately sealed half of his meridians so his cultivation speed wasn't as fast as them. Now that his fighting spirit was aroused, she found that part of the meridians he had sealed had already been released, which also reflected his determination. For her second big brother to be able to have such consciousness and thoughts, she definitely supported it. As expected, it's my little sister who knows me well. Seeing that the look in Lu Muyan's eyes changed several times, as an elder brother who understood her tacitly, Lu Muting also guessed her thoughts. Lu Muyen smiled and threw an interspatial ring to Lu Muting and said generously as if loaded, "It contains all my belongings. Big brother can use it to recruit mercenaries." When there weren't any more spiritual stones she could go earn it, but there was only one dragon phoenix for big brother. "But I have one request." "What request?" Lu Muting held the interspatial ring in his hand tightly and felt warm in his heart. "If you want to build, then you must build the best mercenary party. I hope that the mercenary party formed by Big Brother will become the #1 mercenary party on Tianling continent." Lu Muyen looked at Lu Muting firmly with trust in her eyes. For the first time, Lu Muting felt that his blood was boiling. So it turned out that he would be so open and excited after having something to pursue. Seeing that the brother and sister had already spoken to this point, Lu Zhantian and the others also expressed their support. The family talked once more about their future visions and ambitions, and also made a detailed plan to open their pill store. 3 days later, the elder of the 8 Extremes sect arrived at Yenzhou Kingdom, and Lu Muyen also set foot on her journey in a sect. One is saying that basically means, you can be the most ordinary, innocent man, but the moment you possess a precious jade, expect to be pursued and even killed simply because of that jade. 2 Big Buddha just colloquially means someone powerful. 3 To hold someone as their banner means usually to use their Ming alliances, powerful name, fame etc. to someone else's, Lu clan's, advantage and let people know they have the backing of someone to be feared. 4 just means twins. Specifically 1 female 1 male. Chinese likes to be fancy XD and I like to translate as many things as directly as possible. Chapter 338. First arrival at the sect. The welcoming elder of the 8 Extremes sect this time wasn't Ao Rong, but a handsome middle-aged man. Along with him were 2 inner pupils, one of whom was the ordinary-looking senior brother from the competition space. After they arrived in Yenzhou Kingdom, they didn't accept Yun Tianchen's invitation to go to the palace. After staying at the Lu clan for a night, they left the imperial capital with Lu Muyen the next day. The 8 Extreme sect was a sect that was famous on the continent for its smithing and arrays, so this time the elder was riding a middle-quality Saint tool, which also had defensive functions and was no worse than the Sumeru light boat Lu Muyen owned. Along the way, the elder and 2 senior brothers only verified their identities per usual, and the 4 of them were teleported to other kingdoms to pick up others. When everyone was picked up, the leading elder took them back to the sect on his magic tool. Among the more than a dozen people who were picked up, 3 maintained the same indifferent attitude, while some revealed irritability from time to time, and were more and more unusually respectful to the 3 of them. Only Lu Muyen, Ling Fei Yang, Yan Jun, and Mo Ling maintained their calm demeanor from the very beginning of the reception to now. Because of the influence of the 3 messengers who picked them up, the atmosphere on the ship was very depressing, and practically no one spoke. Therefore, Lu Muyen and her group cultivated in their own rooms and didn't gather to chat. On the 11th day of their journey back to the sect, the elder called the more than a dozen people to a room in the boat's warehouse for tea, and many people revealed flattered expressions. "Lu girl, I heard that you're already a grade 3 array master?" Elder Wen, who was sitting in the main seat, looked at Lu Muyen with a light smile and asked. Lu Muyen stroked the tea with the cover in her hand, looked up and replied without changing expressions. "Junior is indeed a grade 3 array master. Not bad. Such an achievement at such a young age will surely mean great achievements in the future." Elder Wen praised her with a smile. At this time, the 7 or 8 people who were also selected into the sect in the competition space began to feel sour, and all secretly thought that if Lu Muyen didn't choose the same sect as them, then would the light of the new pupils not be completely stolen by her? Thinking of this, many people still leaked unkindness towards her. Many thanks to Elder One for the praise. Junior doesn't dare accept. Lu Muyen replied indifferently. This old fox was obviously drawing hatred for her. But she didn't remember when she offended him. You deserve this compliment. Elder One continued with a smile. Lu Muyen's eyes were stained with slight ridicule. She smiled faintly and stopped talking. Seeing that she was ignoring him, Elder One appeared to not care, and immediately turned the conversation to Mo Ling. Kid from the Mo clan, I heard that you were trapped by a grade 4 array when attempting to advance to the top 10. Although you delayed some time but still escaped. I wonder if you have already advanced to grade 4 array master? This involves the privacy of this junior, so forgive Junior for having no comment. Mo Ling's temperament was still cold and proud, and he probably didn't even want to talk to Elder One, so he just closed his eyes and rested. Seeing him so arrogant, others frowned and disagreed. Only Lu Muyen and Yan Jun didn't care. Elder One wasn't angry, then immediately turned his attention to Yan Jun. Yan clan's boy, your Yan clan is a great smithing clan of Tianling continent. As the most valued descendant, your refining level isn't too low, is it? Are you at grade 4 yet? Senior is joking. Where does Junior have the ability to become a grade 4 smith? I can only touch the edge of grade 3 right now. A huge smile bloomed on Yan Jun's handsome face. He wasn't like Lu Muyen and Mo Ling, who didn't bother to talk to Elder One, but instead dragged Elder One to talk nonsense. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. During this period, Elder One also asked a few random questions to everyone else, which seemed to be nothing, but just made Lu Muyen ponder deeply. The content of the conversation was basically small talk. Only after 3 hours did Elder One let the pupils present return to their rooms to rest. When they were gone, the ordinary-looking young man beside him suddenly said, "How is Elder's test to them?" Elder One glanced at him, then pouted, "I sure didn't want to test them. These monkey cubs are shrewder one after the other. I blame those old things in the sect for posing me this problem." When they set off, the strongest managing elder of the outer sect ordered the 3 to ignore them when they picked up the more than a dozen pupils, letting them hang cold for 10 days. Then to observe the expressions and reactions of the dozen or so people, mainly to examine the temperament of this group of pupils. Then did Elder gather anything from it? Gu Xiu, first tell me what you think of this group of students. Elder One asked instead of answering, looking at the young man with an ordinary face but very restrained temperament. Gu Xiu pondered for a while, then said, "The talents in this group of pupils are all good, but in terms of character, I only think highly of Lu Muyen, Ling Fei Yang, Yan Jun and Mo Ling. Although the 4 of them didn't have as high a cultivation base as him, but they always gave him a sense of incomprehension. Whether their attitude towards them was cold or warm, it didn't matter to the 4 of them. They didn't care at all. Yeah. I'm also more optimistic about the 4 of them." Elder One continued with a helpless look and said, "I sure was done dirty by those old things now. When I asked them questions before, Lu Muyan's impression of me wasn't good at all. Her plain gaze of ridicule earlier made him feel extremely awkward. It was all those damned old things who asked them to test their temperament and made them do things that offended people. Didn't you also dig a trap for Mo Ling and Yen Jun? It's just that they didn't jump. Gu Xiu smiled slightly. I believe Lu Mu Yen can see that you didn't mean to target her. True. Of course, I don't want to offend the pupil that even that old man Ao Rong considers important. Elder Wen sighed, his face filled with helplessness, but the interest in his eyes still revealed his bad tastes. Gu Xiu knew this frivolous elder's temperament. Now that he was eyeing Lu Mu Yen, he really didn't know whether it was her luck or her trouble. Half a month later, Elder Wen arrived at the 8 Extremes sect with a group of people. The 8 Extremes sect was built atop a big mountain with constant rain and snow all year round. From a distance, the light rain pattered, giving people a very hazy feeling. The high mountain stood in the clouds, making it impossible to see its true nature, like a shy girl wearing a veil, half hidden. Elder Wen took out the identity token and tossed it upwards. The token flew up and merged into the rain, and one just saw a transparent cover appear. Nothing could be seen inside. Let's go. If you aren't pupils of this sect, then it's practically impossible to infiltrate the sect. Elder Wen said to the several people with a smile. The several people no longer hesitated to follow him through the light cover. Then the scenery changed. The surroundings weren't the scene of gentle rain like just now. As soon as they stepped into the light cover, they were teleported to the peak of a mountain. Gazing from the top of the mountain, one only saw more towering mountains surrounded by clouds, and huge rainbows hung over the mountain peaks. There were even numerous mysterious islands suspended in the air. Cranes and beautiful flying demonic beasts soared in groups, with gorgeous colors. It was as if entering a celestial land on earth. There were many buildings on the farthest mountain, and if one looked closely, one could see many red-clothed pupils walking around. Not only were other people dazed by such a scene, even Lu Mu Yen couldn't help but be stunned. Chapter 339. Hostility. Seeing the shocked gazes on the pupils Elder Wen let in, the smile on his face grew even deeper. It was just that he discovered that Lu Mu Yen was only a little surprised and satisfied when she first saw the scenery of the sect. Then her eyes returned to calmness. Lu Mu Yen gave him a feeling that she was used to seeing a larger world, and he became more and more interested in her. As an inner sect elder, Ao Rong's insight was naturally the most experienced and vicious. It was the first time he had spoken so highly of a new pupil in so many years, making them elders couldn't help but pay attention to Lu Mu Yen. This is the grounds of the sect of the 8 Extremes sect. You will live and cultivate here in the future. Are you satisfied? Elder Wen glanced at everyone and asked. Satisfied. They'll now take you to see the sect leader. He will arrange your whereabouts. Yes. Elder Wen rode the flying magic tool to take everyone to the farthest mountain, then walked to a majestic and simplistic hall. Elder Wen, the sect leader, has been waiting for a long time. Take the new pupils to the council hall. A young pupil walked up to Elder Wen and said respectfully. Elder Wen nodded and took Lu Mu Yen and the others around the hall to the council hall. Pushing the door to enter, one saw that there were already many people in the meeting room. A kind-faced elderly man sat on the main seat, and several elders sat below, including Ao Rong. In front of them were 10 young pupils dressed in red standing respectfully. Sect leader, the new pupils selected from the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony have been brought here. Elder Wen stepped forward and greeted the person above, then said to Lu Mu Yen and the others, "This one is our 8 Extreme sect leader Tanyang Xia. Greet him first." Greetings to the sect leader. Lu Mu Yen and the others stepped forward and greeted him with a pupil's greeting. No need. Tanyang Xia said with a gentle smile, "The 8 Extreme sect welcomes you to join us. You are all elite pupils who have been selected through the Tianling Continental Tournament for Hegemony. From today onwards, you will be directly promoted to core pupil of the outer sect, and all actions must be carried out in accordance with the sect rules." His voice came out slowly with a kind of affinity, but his majesty remained undiminished. Pupils understand. Tanyang Xia smiled and nodded, then introduced the elders sitting below to everyone and explained their positions in the sect. He explained kindly, pointing to the 10 people in front and said, "Junior Brother Wen, they are the 10 people who were promoted to core pupils of the outer sect through the grand competition this time. You can take them with you and arrange them." "Yes, sect leader." Elder Wen replied in a friendly way. Then the sect leader turned his gaze to Lu Mu Yen with a gentle expression. "Little Lu girl, Elder Ao has already told me about your situation. What he has promised to you will be fulfilled one by one. Right now, there are still a few empty courtyards in the places with the most abundant spiritual force in the outer sect. You can follow Elder One to choose one. Thank you, sect leader. Lu Muyen replied with a smile. I'll go with them. Ao Rong stood up and said to the sect leader. Ten Yangxia knew his temperament. Sure. Then they will be handed over to you and junior brother Wen. Ao Rong didn't say any more either. He took Elder Wen and led the two groups of outer sect core pupils out of the council hall. I'll now introduce you to the general situation of the sect first. When you receive the Jade Slip of the sect, it'll contain detailed introductions of the 8 Extremes sect and our rules. Then Elder Wen introduced the 8 Extremes sect to Lu Muyen and the others endlessly, and took them to receive their identity jade tokens, clothes, interspatial rings, and things such as resources that could be enjoyed for the month for outer core pupils. Now I'll take you to the residence of the outer core pupils to register and assign a room. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, yes. Lu Muyen also learned from Elder Wen's previous introduction that the uniforms of the 6 major sects were all different colors from the other, and the 8 Extreme sect was red. The sect was divided into the inner sect and outer sect, and even among the inner sect and the outer sect, there was a distinction between ordinary pupils and core pupils. The outer sect even had an extra factotum pupil category. The core pupils of the outer sect resided in a place with more spiritual force than ordinary pupils, but they also lived in groups and were divided into different courtyards for each group. There would be a residence at intervals in the courtyard, which was assigned by the supervisor. The ordinary pupils of the inner sect could be assigned to live in independent courtyards, and the core pupils of the inner sect could go to the place where spiritual force of the sect was most abundant to open up a cave or build a residence of their own. It was all up to their abilities to obtain what courtyard they wanted to live in. After arranging the other people's residences, Elder Wen smiled and said to Lu Muyen, "The sect leader has ordered, Lu girl, you can choose an independent courtyard in the outer sect to reside in. Come with me now. I will trouble Elder Wen." Elder Wen, this pupil has a question that requires clearing. A young man among the 10 stepped out calmly and greeted Elder Wen. His cultivation base was the highest among the 10, and he had become the main of the 10. Elder Wen narrowed his eyes as he smiled and said, "Ask. Why do we all live in a group courtyard as core pupils of the outer sect, but this junior sister can live in an independent courtyard with the most abundant spiritual force?" The man looked at Lu Muyen, and it was obvious that they weren't satisfied with this arrangement. Ever since the sect leader made separate arrangements for Lu Muyen, they had felt unhappy inwardly. This woman's cultivation base was way too incompetent. Who among the outer sect core pupils would still be at Sword Monarch cultivation base? Why make her special? And now they were even treated differently. Not only could she live in an individual courtyard, but she could also choose from the place with the most abundant spiritual force. How should they, who had stayed in the 8 Extreme sect for so many years and relied on their own efforts to be promoted from ordinary pupils to core pupils, feel? The privileges for Lu Muyen were approved by this old man. If you have any questions, just come ask me. Ao Rong looked at the 10 people coldly. The 10 people suddenly felt a burst of invisible pressure all over them, and a chill along their backs. Pupil does not dare. The man who spoke first toughened his head and said, "Humph." Ao Rong snorted coldly, then curbed his emotions and smiled amiably, saying to Lu Muyen, "Lu girl, let me take you to choose your courtyard." "All right. Thank you, Senior Ao." Lu Muyen nodded calmly. Ao Rong pulled Elder Wen aside to speak, and Lu Muyen glanced at the 10 people. At this time, the 10 people gave her even more unkind and hostile looks, and their jealousy was evident. She was too lazy to pay attention to their gazes. It was normal for such distinctions to cause public anger, but it was also what she exchanged with her strength, and she didn't think there was anything wrong with it. As long as these people didn't really offend her, then it was fine. If they dared to offend her, then she would let them know why she was entitled to such special treatment. After Ao Rong and Elder Wen finished talking, he didn't look at the others at all and took Lu Muyen with him. After the two left, the 10 pupils of the 8 Extreme sect all revealed their unconvinced expressions on their faces. Inwardly, they all suspected that Lu Muyen had a connection with Elder Ao to have such special differentiated treatment, and they despised her inwardly. Elder Wen naturally saw their little thoughts and said with a half-smile, "If you aren't convinced with Lu Muyen, then you can just challenge her during the outer sect's grand competition." He also wanted to see if Lu Muyen was worthy of Ao Rong's attention or not. Yes. After hearing Elder Wen's words, a strange light flashed across the eyes of the 10 people. Meanwhile, the sword masters who followed Lu Muyen here recalled the violent scenes when Lu Muyen fought with others and quietly cast gloating glances at all 10 of them. That woman wasn't one who someone should easily offend. Chapter 340. Low-profile Ao Rong took Lu Muyen to a large, secluded and serene garden with courtyards built around the garden. This is the yard with the most spiritual force in the outer sect. You can choose one for yourself. Ao Rong reached out and pointed out 5 empty courtyards for her to choose from. Lu Muyen swept around roughly, then pointed to the deepest courtyard and said, "I want that one. That courtyard's spiritual force isn't as dense as the one on the left." Ao Rong suggested. "No need. I like quiet and the innermost one is quite suitable." She chose the courtyard that was the longest way from the large garden, and there were no buildings around. She just liked the secluded and quiet ones. Ao Rong nodded indifferently, "Sure. I'll ask the supervisor to bring the array flag for this courtyard over." Each individual courtyard of the 8 extremes sect was equipped with an array. Since it could prevent others from being disturbed when cultivating, it could also be used to gather spiritual force after it's activated. "Thank you, Senior." Lu Muyen thought a little, then asked, "Senior, I see people living in the several other courtyards. Did they also come in specially?" Ao Rong looked at her in amusement. "Where are all these people who come in with special treatment? They're all your senior brothers and sisters. Among the core pupils of the outer sect because they made the most contributions to the sect, so they're awarded with a separate courtyard." "How do you obtain the sect's contribution points?" Lu Muyen asked. "The missions set by the sect, missions you accept, and the exchange of spiritual herbs, spiritual stones and other things can get you contribution points." Ao Rong paused, then said, "The contribution points of the sect are very useful and you best earn as much as you can when you have time." After speaking, he took out a prepared copy of a jade slip and handed it to Lu Muyen. "Here is a manual about exchanging contribution points in the sect. You'll understand after reading it once." "Thank you, Senior, then this junior won't be polite." Lu Muyen quickly put the jade slip away. This was something useful to her. "Do you have any plans for the recent days?" Ao Rong then added, "The new pupils who have entered the sect have half a year of free training time, then you'll be divided into separate specialization schools." "No plans, I'm going to spend this half a year to advance my cultivation base to Sword Sovereign," Lu Muyen said helplessly. The 10 sword masters who had just been promoted to core pupils were so hostile and dissatisfied precisely because they saw how low her cultivation base was. It seemed that she had to quickly advance to Sword Sovereign to gain a foothold in the sect. It wasn't that she was afraid of anyone, she was mainly afraid of trouble. Ao Rong said with a smile, "You still have some self-knowledge on this point. The core pupils of the outer sect are at least initial phase Sword Sovereign, and the top 10 in the outer sect's contribution points ranking even has initial phase Sword Venerables, so you indeed need to pick up the pace in cultivation. There are even pupils at Sword Venerable in the outer sect? Then the core pupils of the inner sect must be Sword Saints?" Lu Muyen asked in surprise. Ao Rong rolled his eyes at her. "You say Sword Saint as if they're like cabbages. Even this old man is only a peak phase Sword Saint. Do you think those little brats can be higher than me?" "That's not necessarily true, Senior. Haven't you heard that there are mountains beyond a mountain, and the rear waves of the Yangtze River drive on the waves before one?" Lu Muyen pursed her lips, as if she believed that none of the inner pupils became Sword Saints. Cough cough. Ao Rong coughed lightly a few times then laughed. "The inner pupils who have advanced to Sword Saint cultivation base have all entered the sect's secret school or became elders. How could they still stay in the inner sect as core pupils?" "What's the sect's secret school?" Lu Muyen caught the key words. Ao Rong hurriedly covered his mouth, then looked around and said in a whisper, "This is not something that you can inquire and know about with your current cultivation base. I misspoke just now, just pretend that you didn't hear it." "I didn't hear anything just now." Lu Muyen rolled her eyes inwardly. This old thing definitely said it on purpose to arouse her interest. Ao Rong gave her his look as if to say, "Child, you are teachable, little Lu girl is indeed really likable. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site." Thanks, such a clever and cunning girl really suited his appetite, but it was a pity that he knew he couldn't teach her, otherwise he really wanted to take her as a disciple. "Senior, is there anything else?" Lu Muyen looked at him with a half-smile and asked. Ao Rong thought a bit, then said, "You should keep a low profile when you haven't entered the inner sect to compete for a spot for the land of inheritance. When too many people notice you, I'm afraid they wouldn't be reconciled. If they're unreconciled, then I'll beat them till they're reconciled." Lu Muyen raised her fist then smiled, "Besides, I've always been low profile. If something happens, it's always the situation sending itself to my door. I usually don't take the initiative to start things, don't worry. The corners of Ao Rong's lips twitched. This girl seemed to have a lot of things going on wherever she went. Did she think his eyes were getting old and blurry? However, it was true that most of the time, others provoked first. This girl just had a troublemaker constitution. Alright, if you really can't keep a low profile, you can fight back. Either way, you don't have to endure your anger and swallow your voice. Ao Rong also knew that her temperament wouldn't allow her to tolerate things, and he also advocated the truth that a hard fist was the boss. You are someone that I, Ao Rong, tried hard to recruit, so don't lose my face. Don't worry, senior, I can lose anyone's face but lose yours. Lu Muyen responded with a smile. Ao Rong looked at the time in the sky, then said, then go cultivate well, you can come to me if you need anything. Alright, then senior's kindness is accepted by junior. Lu Muyen knew Ao Rong was offering friendliness, and she was also happy to accept it. Ao Rong laughed a few times, then tossed a communication talisman to Lu Muyen and left the place as a stream of light. After a bit, the supervisor in charge here sent the courtyard's array flag to Lu Muyen, with a lukewarm attitude. Lu Muyen used the array flag to open the courtyard and discovered that the spiritual force inside was indeed abundant, and a satisfied expression rose on her face. She first refined a few batches of pills she needed herself and those the few demon pets liked to eat, then arranged a small spirit gathering array to deepen the density of spiritual force before she went into seclusion. This time she didn't only want to break through to Sword Sovereign cultivation base, but she also wanted to break through to the core formation stage. Once her golden core was formed, even if she didn't use her spirit flame with her elemental energy core flame, she could also refine grade 4 pills. Of course, as soon as her core formation stage was achieved, many talents and secret skills could also be used. Time passed little by little, and Lu Muyen successfully broke through to the Sword Sovereign cultivation base within 2 months. Because of an isolation-type array arranged, the unusual phenomena that appeared when advancing weren't spread. After advancing to Sword Sovereign, she took a worldly reduction pill and began to break through to the core formation stage. 3 months later, a glazed rainbow appeared in the yard, falling from the sky, then a serene fragrance filled a certain room in the courtyard. Lu Muyen opened her eyes, and her pupils were ethereal and clear. A smile appeared on her lips, finally arrived at the core formation stage. After reaching the core formation stage, she found that the aura of a powerhouse gradually spread out automatically. Because of the spiritual thunder body tempering, she currently only felt that her whole body was filled with explosive power. In the past half a year, the other pupils would often go out and wander around, and only Lu Muyen remained low profile as if she had evaporated from this world. This also surprised some of the sword masters who had come to the sect with her, who were originally preparing to watch her and the older pupils clash. They wondered just what she was doing. Inwardly, such a low profile Lu Muyen was abnormal. And because of her low profile, the elders who paid attention to her at first gradually became less concerned. One day after the half a year, Lu Muyen received a communication talisman from the sect, and it was time for the new core pupils to choose their schools. One, the new/rear waves, new generation, will replace old waves, old generation, and also has the meaning of the new being better than the old. Rear, ho, also means after, so the after, new, generation. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.